All right, welcome. It's good to see a lot of familiar faces here tonight. This is Invest NWI, our monthly investor meetup group. Any good news in the last month? Surely someone in here did something exciting, flipped a house, sold something, bought something, or just had a really good fantasy football draft. Al, do you have any good news for the group?
I do. I've got a comp in Maryville, just got appraised out. It is the highest comp for a rehab home, $262,000 in Maryville. So closing in next week. So that's good news.
Perfect. Anyone else have any good news?
We got a house that we bought from you actually that we're flipping and got an offer on it last week.
I'm sorry?
Yep.
Are you gonna make money on it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, we'll do all right.
because there's someone in this room that doesn't like wholesalers, and they don't think that wholesalers sell properties that people make money on it, so.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know. So,
It's me. What?
well, that's exciting. All right. So our mission is to bring together investors of all levels to provide an environment of relevant real estate investment education, as well as a place to grow your personal network. When this ends at 8:30, if you're the first person to leave out the door, you're actually probably missing out on the best part of the night. Stay around, talk with people, make connections. I can't tell you how many connections that I've made in the 8 months that we've had this group. I found private lenders, I found people that I can do some joint ventures with, I found contractors. So definitely introduce yourself, say hi to people, and you'll probably meet some people that can help grow your business as well. Oh, here's the fun stuff, the disclaimer. All of the material and content presented today is for educational purposes only. It's not legal advice. I'm not an attorney. Our presenter's not an attorney. Don't pretend that what we're giving you is legal advice. Everything presented is a recollection of the speaker's personal experiences, their successes and or failures. Definitely consult with your own professionals prior to engaging in any activities here. Don't try to copy us. The success of the speaker is not a guarantee that you will be successful as well, so do your own due diligence. Who here is on Facebook? Yes? All right, who has the Facebook app? Good, open it up. Find this group and like it. And I'll know that you like it because I have to accept your invitation to join this group. But you want to be part of this group because this is where we announce our upcoming speakers and special events. This is an opportunity where if you have a deal that you want to post, whether you have a wholesale deal, you have funding available, you're looking for funding, you have a joint venture, just post whatever you want there. We also try to have topics that are engaging and you can ask your feedback on it. If you have a question on a property that you're buying or you want some feedback on a deal to make sure it's a good deal, throw out the details there and get some feedback on that. So definitely find that on Facebook. It's Invest NWI Investor Group. It's a little bit different from the Invest NWI page that we have for a wholesale deal, so there is a difference there. And then also make sure that you look in your spam for this email, group at Invest NWI. After every meeting, we send you a link to the video of the meeting. So if you're not seeing that, it's probably going in your spam. We also send you updates on the upcoming meetings. I know only about half of you are actually opening those emails because my email tracks who that is. So I won't point anybody out today. Quickly, membership, it's $90 for a year for a person, $135 for a couple. And the benefit of having the membership is that if you can't make it, you're on vacation, out of town, whatever, and there's a topic that you really, really like, I sell the videos. They're $10 for each one. But if you're a member, you automatically get that video even if you're not here. So speaking of videos, these are the ones that we have available. Back in June, we had Dave Overman. He's talked about how he custom flipped 60 houses. Fantastic talk. I learned a couple of things that really helped me on the flip that we just put under contract last week with a buyer. We probably made about an extra $10,000 just based on information that I got from that presentation. In July, we had a couple of investors that had rentals, and we had them up here Q&A for about 2 hours, so tons of information in that. And last month, we had tax lien investing. And then this month, again, I'll send this video out probably by the end of the week, so make sure you check your email for that. If you are interested in any of those videos, just catch me after the group. Email that group at Invest NWI with the ones that you want, and we can figure out a way to get those to you. So, this is our 9th meeting of the year. We've had a lot of really interesting topics. I have topics set up through January, maybe February, and after that, I'm drawing a blank. So what are some real estate investing topics that you guys are interested in, or some local speakers that you think might be exciting to have here?
Like property management, maybe?
Okay.
Tony Robbins?
Can you get Trump?
I am friends with him on Facebook. I think it's a phony one.
I know, I'd like to get, if you can, an appraiser.
Yep,
I know that one kind of,
Yeah, after I've had a couple of appraiser issues, I'm really gonna push to get another appraiser in here.
Robin Collins.
yeah, get Robin Collins.
Should I?
If you can get Robin Collins in here, that'd be great.
Yeah. What about a home inspector? Would that be beneficial to see what they're looking at? Because the last 2 properties I had, they kind of dropped the ball on some stuff.
Sure. That'd be good.
Maybe put those together. Any other topics that would be interesting?
Tax attorney.
Tax attorney that can speak though.
Yeah.
Maybe just an attorney in general, real estate that can cover.
Accounting wise, yeah.
I think a title company, like covering.
Yeah, because that was a really good one. We had like 15 of you guys here.
Huh. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. All right, never mind.
Yeah, probably a tax attorney, an attorney that could also give us some enlightenment on making a good lease for tenants.
Okay.
Things like that, so we don't want to get hurt.
Lease, tenants, evictions, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Exactly.
Probably like a wholesaler too, right? No? No?
Tom
Right,
Webb.
Steele said no.
The coffee was completely unrelated, sorry.
We've done flipping, we've done rentals, we've had the CPA, we had the title company, tried to have the appraisal guy, which we will get. So our upcoming topics, next month, we're talking about money, how to fund your deals. The following month, we're talking about,
I'm sorry, June, I didn't hear. Did you say you had something on section 8 already?
we've never done section 8.
I don't know if it would take up the whole time, but maybe somebody that can walk through the paperwork.
Okay.
How do you apply, what's the first step?
That would be a good one for,
How you deal with them.
yeah, that would be a good one. What else have we had? Tax lien investing, we did sheriff sale, that was a big hit.
We done like storage, mobile homes, sorry.
Mobile homes is January.
Yeah, well, some, an insurance man.
Insurance?
Exactly, how should you be protecting yourself? What's the best way to do that with tenants involved?
Perfect. Cool, these are all really good ideas. If you have anything else, or if you go to a seminar or something and they had a really cool topic there, definitely shoot us an email. We'd love to get your feedback on what you guys are looking to hear about. All right, so we try to do each week or each meeting, we try to do either a helpful tip on like a tool that we're using, a website that we're using. So if you have any tools or tips in your real estate business that you use that you think might be helpful, shoot me an email with the idea on that, and we'll spotlight that. I'll even let you talk about it. Or if we don't have a good tip, then we do a success story. And this could be an unsuccess story, but this is where someone has picked up a house, gone through everything, and either had a good success or not a good success. Today's a little bit different, and I'll let Justin talk about it, but this was one that he actually funded, so he's going to talk about it from a little bit of a different perspective.
Where's that?
That's a pretty house, isn't it?
All right, so normally we have somebody who's flipping a house, tell their success story, so this time we're gonna talk about one. Different way to make some money, especially if you have money to lend people. So this is a house a friend of mine actually rehabbed, and my deal with him is 60-40 split. I take 40% of his profit on every single deal, good, bad. So this is kind of the before picture of the property. Pretty nice property, right? Actually, he didn't start out with it. Somebody else bought it at sheriff's sale in April for $68,000. He put a new roof on it. He ran out of money. Pretty much needed everything. It was a smaller 3, 1.5. I don't think it was a 2.5 at that point. But it basically needed everything, as you can see from the picture, minus the roof.
Where was it? Where was it at?
Maryville.
Maryville, okay.
Maryville. So in this case, I always fund everything out of my IRA so that I can put those proceeds back in the IRA so I don't have to pay taxes on them. And so in his case, I fund the whole purchase and the rehab costs. His rehab costs are probably a little bit less because he's got his own on-staff guy, so it saves a little bit. But he was buying it from the other field rehabber for $80,000 with no tax credits. That's what the guy wanted. And approximate rehab costs were around 40 grand. So I gave him a total of 120. Again, that was coming out of my IRA, so this is retirement money. He actually purchased it on May 19th. He was done with the rehab and had it listed on July 11th. It was sold and closed August 22nd. 96 days. Most of my deals are 90 to 120 days when I fund deals. I only do them with rehabbers and only ones that I trust. So there's the after picture. I had literally nothing to do with this. I just gave him money, so all these beautiful pictures are his good work. Quite a difference though. There's the inside.
So it was an Oberman, was it?
No,
It looks like it.
Yeah.
No.
No.
nope.
The cabinets aren't painted.
No. So the total investment was $120,000. It actually came in a little bit less than what he had budgeted. He put it for sale for $175. Had some full price offers, but they were FHA and they were going to take longer and had some issues. So we took the $167 conventional offer. 40% profit of that was $13,679.26 after all his fees, selling fees, all that sort of thing. Then I have to pay $450 to my IRA. So that gives me the actual profit with an annualized return of 49.45%. Not bad to give somebody money, assuming they pay it back. I did nothing. I went and saw the house. I thought he was crazy for paying $80,000 for it, but yeah, I have a little bit more faith in him than most of the guys I lend money to. He's got a track record with me. But the point of this is that if you have IRA money, 401k rollover money, don't let it sit there and get a measly 6, 7, 8% if you're lucky. Do something with it. You can control your investments. If you're not putting yourself in front of deals, it might be a little bit difficult to get the type of returns that I am. But even if you could get 20% rather than 10, which would be better than the market average. Second thing is choose your partner in your deal wisely. I only have a few people that I work with, him and probably 3 or 4 other ones. I don't lend him money on every deal that he brings me either. I choose which ones I want to do, but choose your partner in your deal wisely because if they don't make money, you're not going to either, if it's on a joint venture like mine is. Third one is if you're going to hire an IRA company, there's a lot of different companies. I use Quest. Just use one that can get deals done fast. Like in his case, he's terrible with paperwork. He just calls the title company and says, hey, I want to show up. And figures that the rest will just happen. You need somebody that can wire money at the last minute. And then if you don't have documents that are prepared for you already, just have an attorney do it. Have them done once so you can use them multiple times with different people to change addresses, the terms, whatever. But that's what I did. If you guys are curious on a company that you can put your IRA with, I have no affiliation with them. I don't really care who you use. They work really well. They're out of Texas. They move money fast. They're all going to charge you some sort of fees anytime you make an investment. Just like anything, investing does have its costs, but if you have a self-directed IRA or a 401k rollover, you're not sure what to do with it, you can, you can put it, or if you have an IRA, I should say, not self-directed, you can put it in a self-directed IRA. You can invest in lots of different things, just can't invest in yourself, family, anything like that. You can do deals, back and forth between friends, and it's kind of a cool way to make some better retirement money, and that's it, my story. You guys got any questions?
Did you say it was $450 for the transaction fee or something?
Yeah,
for
that's-
Plus?
Yeah, so,
Is that per each time you take it out?
yeah, so you can pay, there's a certain fee that you can either pay per deal, or you can pay it quarterly. So if you're doing a lot of deals, you wanna pay the quarterly fee. In this account, I usually have to do 1 to 2 at a time, and it doesn't beat me paying the quarterly. But if you have one you're gonna do a lot of deals out of, I would suggest probably paying the quarterly fee, and then you'll just pay, like $30 to wire in or out.
Okay.
And you'll pay less in fees if you're gonna do a bunch of stuff.
Do they have you, are you able to take out 100% of your balance, or do you have to have some cash in there where you can only take out up to 80% of your balance to do a deal?
You can even pay your fees on a credit card, you don't have to pay them out of the IRA.
Okay.
So if you wanted to, you could literally take every single dollar out if you wanted to.
Okay.
May not be a good decision, because I think they have quarterly fees, like $25 for account management,
Yeah.
so
Keep a few $100 in there at least.
just keep something in there.
Yeah.
Is there like a time, like how long do you have before you replenish it?
As long as you need to. I mean, typically, because I'm loaning my money to rehabbers, I want them to get it done fast, so I don't loan it to people who are slugs and aren't gonna get it done. I mean, I want my money to turn. But, yeah, I mean, you can take as long as you need. If you wanna if you wanted to buy a rental building with it, your IRA could buy a rental building, and as long as somebody else is managing it, so your hands aren't on it physically, because that's a prohibited transaction. Your IRA could own a rental property forever. And the money and the proceeds and everything can come back to your IRA every single month. Anything else?
Did he do the rehab himself, or did he hire a contractor?
He does everything himself for the most part. Maybe not him physically doing it all, but he has guys, he doesn't hire another contractor. He is the contractor. So, he got a lot of work done for
Yeah, that's,
that amount of money.
yes.
My profit was a little bit less on that one than it should have been, because we did another deal before that, and the house had problems after the fact, so we actually went back and fixed those problems, so I ate part of that on the backside, which I don't really have to do, but if you wanna have a relationship with somebody who's gonna pay you 40% returns, 40%, profit, when things go south after the fact and they gotta fix it, if they're gonna be a man of their word, then you gotta kinda eat it with them. Anything else? Cool, you guys wanna hear me talk anymore, you want Ryan?
Awesome. Oh, I gotta do this now. Cool, so our speaker tonight,
Whoa, I'm
has-
sorry, what is USAP?
I don't know, I couldn't read your text, it was so small.
It's an F, folks.
New contacts today, I'm still getting
United
used to them.
States Air Force.
That's what I assumed, I just, the P and the F are right next
I'm
to
a
it.
sap? What?
Can I blame it on autocorrect? So our speaker is a US Air Force veteran. He's been investing over 2 decades, so longer than some of you have been alive. He's done apparently over 10,000 deals. I did not go into public records to vet that, so I'm assuming he's telling the truth. He owns over 1,000 doors, and that's in a combination of single-family and multifamily properties. Tonight he's going to be talking about investing in multifamilies and some of the differences between the two. He purchased his first multifamily property, a 19-unit, back in 2001. It's actually a really cool story, so I'll let Ryan talk about that. And I'm going to pull up his presentation, I think. Whoops. So come on up, and there you go. This, you know how you've used one of
Same
these,
one.
right?
Yeah, same exact one I have. You just totally copy everything.
I do copy everything you do.
That's awesome. First, I just want to say, like, tips and tricks. I have this great tip. I've got this thing that I put on the back of my cell phone case, and it just says, "Oh, hey, maybe you should protect your pocket a little more so your phone doesn't fall out."
I was wondering about.
Okay, I took it out of the pocket.
I
It
was
didn't fall
wondering
out, but
about
still.
your case there. I'm like, that's kind of girly, but.
My wife bought it for me. All right. Well, good evening, everybody. I am a United States Air Force veteran. Yes, I'm not a SAP or anything like that, USAF. I actually got together with one fellow veteran yesterday for the first time in 20 years, so it was a great time. So if you ever become friends of mine on Facebook, you'll see a picture of me standing on a bench to be the same height as the other guy. His call sign was House, because he's the biggest one. I was just hat trick, so if you ever see anything from me, my call sign's hat trick. So. I want to thank Justin and Adrian for having me here. I'm going to give a little plug, and if you don't want it, too bad. Adrian and I are doing a little quid pro quo. Some of you guys might know me. I've been running an investment association in Chicago for almost 2 decades now. And Adrian's going to come present in November on wholesaling out in Elmhurst, Illinois. So hopefully we can share and stuff. And the good news is that both of our groups have the same idea. We're not going to have gurus sell. You just can't stand that, right? So tonight I'm going to do my best to give you some actionable content. I'm going to do my best to answer the questions. Normally when I present on this topic, it's part of a 2-day event. So to attempt to get it into about 60 or 70 minutes, bear with me. If we need to, I'm sure that we can schedule a follow-up and I can come back another time and continue this discussion. So, wow, I didn't realize I put all these clicks in there, so just so you know all those clicks. But that was very cool pictures. All right, so since he already gave this is my same thing. I'm teaching from experience. I'm not an attorney, although I'm married to one. That doesn't count, all right? Anything that I provide is from my own experience, blah, 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 okay? Ye old bio. He already gave you that. Mine actually says F. I was in the military. Served in the United States Air Force during the Gulf War, okay? And actually, when I was in the military, I did my very, very first real estate transaction. It was a flip house. And I'll get a little bit of that. My actual background, I have a degree in electrical and computer engineering. Go figure. Did anybody ever notice that, like, when you talk to people who have college degrees, the vast majority of them don't actually do anything in the field they have the degree in? It's because when you're 18, we have no idea what we're going to do in life, right? So it's like when I was 18, I had to decide a major. I don't know, computers seem cool. And I still use them every day, but I do real estate, right? And I haven't looked back since. So over 20 years doing real estate. I do some coaching and some mentoring to people, but over the 1,100 doors and climbing, a couple things there. I get some back from the ex-wife every now and then, and then buying more all the time. Over the transactions, I've done private lending, I've done hard money lending, I've done note investing, note purchasing, flips, holds, bought some, lost some. I bought some, and I was kind of hoping that some people would be in here of properties that they lost and I bought. No, I'm kidding. I hope no. But there are people that invest in Northwest Indiana still and claim to be mentors out there in Northwest Indiana that I've gone behind when they've lost a property to foreclosure and I picked it up from the bank or something like that. So just, as always, do your own due diligence. But wait, we've got like 6 of Schaefer's old properties.
There you go.
Yeah, so. Oh, I'm sorry, did I say the name? And it's on video. Sorry, Wayne. All right. Tonight's topics, I'm going to talk about making the transition. How many people have a single family rental right now? How many people want more? Is there anybody in here that owns anything more than 5 units in one complex? How many guys? What do you guys got? Because both of you hesitated.
Yeah.
Do you own it together? I presume?
You mean all together?
Past it. I mean, we got a lot of units, but our biggest
In the same
No.
pin, right?
Yeah, no, our
6.
biggest units are 6 right now.
6 units?
Yeah.
Well, that's still
Just
technically
there,
commercial.
technically.
But we gotta get you bigger,
Yes.
right? We gotta get you bigger. The one thing I'll say is, this is just a basic overview. I wrote this about 5 tonight. So if I don't talk exactly to that, I apologize. I'm going to base my presentation off of your body language and your feedback to see where we need to go with this. And if there's any questions, then maybe we need to follow that rabbit hole, we will, and so be that. There is a massive difference between single-family rentals and even 2-unit rentals and large-scale complexes. All right. Be it 28-unit buildings, be it 500-unit complexes. There's 192 units that I have down in Texas, 160 units up in Michigan, and then the 160 is a big tall building. So I have one roof. Right? But there are many differences, and the best way I can explain it is, and I'll get into some basics, but I want to start with this, is imagine the difference between going on a road trip just by yourself. Like when we were in college, we used roadies, right? We could go forever. We wouldn't even stop, right? We'd get there overnight, maybe a bottle in the car, guys. You know what I'm talking about. Didn't have to stop to go to the bathroom, right? Now you add in the other thing, right? Okay, maybe you got like a wife and kid, right? One kid, you probably make it a good distance, right? Maybe just throw them the iPad and they're good, right? Now, think of it as a school bus, and you're the only adult. And that is multifamily investing, all right? The age of the kids on the school bus really depends on where you own that multifamily. But no matter what the age, the actual physical age of the tenant is, they act like the kids on the school bus, all right? You will have crazy issues. I mean, you have a single family home, you have one tenant, they don't really bother anybody. Maybe a neighbor complains every now and then, right? Roll to multifamilies. Oh, I smell this. They're coming out of their unit. It's definitely weed. I know it is, you know? Or they left the door open. They're too loud. I can hear them. Aren't there quiet hours in these buildings? I want to move. Break my lease. Their unit dripped, you know? And oh, they parked a little over the line in the parking spot. Do I get the month free because I couldn't use my parking space? So there's all sorts of things that you have to know going in. So in the opening slide, you may have seen that the subtitle was, you know, greater return, different headaches. All right. No matter what you do in investing, you're going to have headaches. All right. And you can hear that there are some people that it's just not cut out to be a landlord. Right. You know, you hear about tenants and toilets. Right? You can minimize the risk, but there's always going to be a time that you're going to do that. And over, you know, was it last month at like 3 in the morning? I was at one of my properties. You know, because as much as I call a contractor and stuff like that, I want to make sure it got done right. The water boiler system went out. All right, if you've never been in a commercial building, you're responsible for all the water. Right? Multi-unit buildings, you don't separate the water. There's not like separate electrical meters, it's not separate gas meters. You get one water, right? In your 6 unit, you have one water, right? Now, sometimes you can supply the water into a water heater into each unit. So in this building I was in, it's 28 units, and I have twin 110-gallon storage tanks and a commercial boiler unit that kind of looks like R2-D2 on the side, right? And it's a pump that, you know, when the temperature drops in, it sends water in, heats it up, goes right back. And that boiler gets hot, and it went out. So once the 200 gallons goes, and with 28 units in that building, it goes pretty quick, it was cold water going through. And so 3 o'clock in the morning when, I was there attempting to patch it, because it would run and overheat and shut off. So I was like holding a fan in there just to keep it to run so that I could get through the morning so everybody could shower, right? And then fix it. So sometimes you're gonna have to do that, all right? And we'll get into that in a little bit. But what I want to talk about is beginning investing overall as being a landlord. I was glad to see that so many people raised their hands. Intro into multis, and then the differences between single family and multi-units. Okay? So being a landlord, I'm just going to click through all this. It was really cool when I was doing the transitions and the Panera, but now not so much. Right? The pros of being a landlord as opposed to flipping or doing wholesaling, for example, is consistent cash flow. As long as you keep the tenant happy and they pay on time. But you're always going to have the stories about an eviction. There are always going to be evictions. But for the most part, most of my tenants pay, and they pay on time. So consistent cash flow. You can do easy to rent because everybody needs food, water, and shelter. Everybody needs it. No matter what happens in the world, where they're at, they need food, water, and shelter. We are sitting here providing the shelter. Now, when you get into multifamilies, you want to provide in an area where people actually desire the shelter, as opposed to like when the economy was booming under Clinton and they had this economic sprawl going on. And you think about people who lived in the city or worked in the city of Chicago, but lived in brand new far out suburbs of like Plano and stuff like that, where they were building these large communities, and then like 3 people bought houses and the economy tanked because nobody wanted to commute all the way out there. The $4 a gallon gasoline killed them, And so now you have these 5-bedroom, 4-bath tract homes that nobody wants. Right. So you want to be in an area where no matter what economic issues hit, it's proximity, right? So that's what you want to think about. So you can build equity. They call it mailbox investing, right? You get the mail sent to you, and that's what you want to be landing. What's the negatives of it versus flipping? You don't get the big sexy paychecks, right? I've been doing rentals for a very long time. I guess I should share the story of the first deal I ever did. It was a single-family home rehab and flip. I was in the military at the time, and I was stationed in Alabama. And I had met this local guy at the mall that had an ice rink in it. And I was like, I'm in Alabama. I'm from Chicago originally. I'm in Alabama. And it's like, what? Can anybody name me the professional sports franchise from the state of Alabama? There are no professional sports teams in the state of Alabama. The three biggest things they have there are Talladega, the NASCAR race, Auburn and Alabama, the colleges. That's it. So if the football season is over, there's nothing going on, right? And so it's boring. And I'm from Chicago where there's like concerts and like 2 baseball teams, right? So I'm bored out of my mind. So imagine my excitement when I go into a mall and there's an ice rink that you can skate for free as long as you have your own skates. Now nobody down there does, right? But I do. So I'm just skating around. Anyway, the guy working at the rink was a local guy and we become friends. And then he introduces me to his father. And his father is an REO broker. So he's a real estate broker that lists all these REOs. Long story short, he teaches me how to drill out locks, and we, because when he would get a listing, we'd go drill out locks, change locks, put his sign up, right? I would go with his son. And we did this on this one house, and I walked through it, and I think we could do this. So I convinced my friend to help me do it. I got a 100% VA loan to buy it. I picked up the phone, and I called my grandmother. And I told her I was gonna go get my master's degree. Please send me money. She's dead. I get away with saying this now. No, I told her. So I borrowed 20 grand from my grandmother to pay for some college to get my master's degree. I still don't have my master's degree. So I lied. I flat out lied, right? So he and I start doing the work. Initially we were gonna get some contracting bids, but they all seemed high to me, so we did the work ourselves. That was a mistake. Okay, because the quality of the work was far less, because I still had my day job on base, right? He had his kind of day job working at the hockey, or the skating underneath the mall, right? And then we would go do this work. So I was exhausted, tired. Not that it mattered, because there's really nothing to do in Montgomery, Alabama, right? But it took us a lot longer, so my holding costs were higher. I had to pay more taxes, and the quality of work I did wasn't as good as a contract would have done. So I didn't make as much money as I probably should have, but I sold it, flipped it, right? I paid off the car, paid off some bills, and I was like, wait, now what? I had no money. Again. Although my car was free and clear, I had money.
Pay after grandma?
Oh yeah, of course. And I gave her interest. And came clean, right? But then she invested with me more often. So, that was the good news. But there's no sale for big money, but I liked the idea of getting that consistent money. Because once I did it, it was like, now what? Now what goes on? The deal is over, it's done. It doesn't pay you anymore. And that's why I love rentals, and anybody who raised their hand in here understands that concept, right? I like doing flips and building money to put into rentals, right? But I like doing flips because, well, there's an excitement to it, right? But there's also excitement to rentals. But you also have some tenant turnover issue. Whenever a tenant moves out, it's never just, hey, or take the keys and go back. There's always something that needs to be done, right? They spilled something on the carpet. We have to now, get it out. Something along those lines, just dumb stuff. My favorite is the iron mark. They were ironing on the carpet and they leave the iron on the mark, right? And you actually see the burn of an iron in it. That's my favorite, because there's no cleaning that. You got to replace that, right? Right. And so then you have some higher maintenance, ongoing maintenance. Once you do a flip, it's over. You're not doing any of the more work. The rental, you're constantly doing work, right? So, what are some of the differences from single family home? Well, it's easy to buy a single family home. They're all over the place, right? I just was in Justin's office and I could have sworn I saw like 8 or 9 different addresses on the board, right? And he's not in the room anymore, but how many of those addresses are multifamilies?
On our board?
Yeah.
0.
Exactly, right? There's less supply. It's not like every day they're creating another 500 unit apartment complex. Even these 2 buildings here have 52 units, those are mine, by the way. There are 52 units between those 2 buildings, right? But they don't make those every day, right? So the supply is very limited, and when they do come available, it's rare, right? So the other thing is there's fewer exit strategies, right? How do I get rid of it if I decide I don't like it? There's a very limited amount of buyers out there that are interested in it, right? As opposed to a single family home. I get creative on a single family home, right? There's no exit strategy. And then, as I mentioned, you have the tenant-to-tenant relations. You gotta love it. The ones always complaining about you have a couple in there and they're always bickering and fighting, and the neighbor's always hearing it and complaining about it, and it's just nonstop, right? Bless you, by the way. Thank you. Usually, in my apartment buildings, my apartment complexes, I have a higher turnover than I do in my single families. Because it's not home, right? As much as I work to make it home, they don't feel like it's home. They get it in a single family, like, I'm home. And they settle in, right? I've had single families for 13, 14 years of it's been the same tenant in there. All right, and it's terrific. Then you have some more regulatory burdens. There's a lot more inspections that go on, fire codes, They come on, the fire department comes through and inspects the buildings to make sure all the, extinguishers are to date, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot more regulatory. You don't really worry about that with a single family home, okay? Financing is completely different. It's completely different, all right? You're gonna see shorter amortizations, higher down payments, lower LTVs than you would there, and the rates are higher. All right, just to name a few. But the good thing is, you have more control over the value. Because the value of a multifamily home is based on how much it makes you. And you get to have some more input in that. You can control that. A lot more than you can control the market forces in an area. Now, we talked about the record appraisal in Maryville. Did you have anything to do with that?
No.
No, I didn't either. The Maryville market's out. You know who did?
The appraiser?
No, Mike Madigan. Bruce Rauner, in Illinois.
Yeah.
All right? Rahm Emanuel and Tony Preckwinkle. They had everything to do with that. Because Illinois sucks, and that's great for us, right? I live in Illinois, and I've been investing out in Northwest Indiana for decades now because of that. Well, one of the greatest things was that 2006 when they changed the tax code to go to the 321.
Yeah.
That was like the best thing ever, right? You could have a $100,000 home right across the border in Indiana, and your taxes, if you live in, are $1,000 a month. You go right across the border into like Sauk Village or Park Forest, it's $6,000 to $7,000 a year. Like, for 3 more minutes of driving. And you have cheaper taxes, although they just raised the gas taxes. I still was pretty cheap on that.
Oh,
What? Indiana did raise a gas tax. It was terrible. I want Mike Pence back. What? All right. So let me just talk about my sacred 6. It doesn't matter if I apply this to multifamily or single family investing, okay? These are my sacred 6 to make a good buy and hold investment, all right? You have high quality collateral, all right? It's highly leverageable. The appreciation of the area of your property outpaces the market, meaning I can force appreciation, all right? It's a value add play. The operating expenses can go down. I can find areas where I'm looking at the operating expenses, I can save money, all right? I'm in the process of analyzing a very large apartment complex right now, and one of the things I noticed is that between management fees and salaries, which I'm still attempting to figure out the difference there, all right, they spent $600,000 last year for 9 management and full-time employees.
How big?
All right. Several hundred units, but that's not the point. 9 people are making that much money. I'm like, no. A property manager does not make on an average $70,000 a year. All right, they just don't. Okay. In salary, let alone any bonus pay, right? So it does that. So I can scale that down. I can scale down maintenance because it's not standardized and systemized. Because they have, if I'm guessing, about 130 different types of furnaces, which means 130 different types of igniters, 130 different types of flame sensor, 130 different sizes of filters. Right? I can change those out while I'm doing capital investment and now get back into a standardization of it. Right? And more importantly, I get favorable tax consequences. When you're a landlord, your income is deemed passive and not earned. And that's a huge difference. You're talking about, with Obamacare, about a 19% tax rate if it's passive income before any expenses, or 41% depending on how much money you make every year. And that's where I would be. I would be at 41, 42% if my income was on a salary, as opposed to 19% because it's investment income. It's passive. And I remember, like when Obama was attacking Romney for not paying a lot of taxes. Well, Romney's income is all investment money. So that's why the difference. So that's why it's great. So these are the the things that I want favorable tax consequences. Hence, on real estate taxes, I want to be here in Indiana. I don't want to be in Illinois, right? The numbers. Distinguish between, when you're reviewing numbers on an apartment complex, when they're giving it to you, number one, it's the same thing as everything else. Don't believe the crap. All right? They're attempting to put their best foot forward. I'm going to switch that to the chair. Right? They're attempting to put their best foot forward. Right? I'm getting too used to looking at that computer, and I don't want to do that. Right? So you want to make sure that they're being honest. Am I still in the picture? All right. So you need to determine the difference between what they have in reserve and real income. This has kind of nothing to do with single family or multifamilies, but just the other day I had a woman come in to apply to rent one of my apartments. And she had like no provable income really. She got like $1,000 a month in rent, in retirement income. She was in her 50s, so she didn't get a full Social Security, even if she did get it, right? But she's like, well, I just took a huge lump sum pull out of my IRA early to pay the penalty, so I got $19,000. Okay, great. How are you gonna pay the rent after 10 months? You know, you're not. How are you gonna pay your food bill, your electric bill, your, you know, all that kind of stuff? You're not. There's no income coming in. She had 19,000 in reserves. And once you bleed through that, so a lot of times when you see numbers from multifamilies or apartment buildings, be sure to make, you know, to check that this is reserves as opposed to actual cash flow or income. All right. A lot of times they blur that line. Okay. Mind the reality of capital depreciation. What does that mean is, when you get into multifamily homes, and this is where it's going to get a little boring, I'm going to attempt to speed up, but everything in that building can be line item and depreciated. Everything. Cabinets, counters, appliances, everything. And trust me, if you get a good accountant, you're going to be sitting there going through it all. All right, because you want that, right? This one here is probably the biggest bullet point here, and that's create and adhere to the systems, period. Do not deviate when you're in the multifamilies, okay? Even something as simple as the requirements for someone to apply. If a unit is $600 a month, it's $600 a month for everybody. You know why? They're neighbors now. They're going to talk. They're going to talk. There's this little radio show in the Chicagoland area in the mornings. Eric, and what's your name? Oh, not anymore. They fired her.
Oh, they did.
It's Eric in the Morning, period. That's the new name of the show, Eric in the Morning. Why? She hadn't been on the air since April. Because she was demanding the same money as Eric because it came out how much he was making compared to her. And she was demanding. Now, anybody who's ever listened to the show realized he was the show, right? She was off the air since April, and the ratings went up. Right? But what I'm saying is they talk. She held out. Your tenants are going to do the same thing when they're living right next door to each other and you're not there. They're going to talk, well, I'm only paying $600. I got my rent due. I got a $600 check. $600? I pay $650. Uh-oh.
So what do you do when you're maybe making an improvement on a property that justifies a rent increase, or someone leaves and you move a new one in there?
Well, hopefully you talk about saying we're doing a round of rental increases. You tell people that, right? So that they know they're paying more. Like, you have the most up-to-date unit in here, and we're going to go through and update everybody's. And it's going to, there's, you know, so you might be paying a little more, but you got the best one. You don't have to deal with me fixing it up while you live there, right? You explain it to them. So one thing I found is blunt honesty towards someone. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to understand. And if they're going to hiss a fit, you say, there's the door. Have a nice life. The demand for rentals is too great to sit there and deal with it. All right, that's the one thing. We don't bend over backwards, because in multifamilies, 90% occupancy is awesome. Right? 100% is even better, right? But 90% is awesome. That means you can have 10% vacant units. The complex I'm looking at now, they're all excited. They got to 70% occupancy. Right? 70% occupancy. That means 180 vacant units. Right? Crazy. Hey, no whispering back there. Right? But there are, if you market the property correctly, you'll be able to fill it. But stick to your systems, all right? I think you can kind of, you read all this, objectivity. When you go to like buy a car, don't get emotionally attached. Stay with the numbers. Be objective. If the number doesn't match, walk away. Whenever any member of my staff, for example, has chosen, well, you know, I really like this guy. I understand that he applied him, his income's just shy, but I really like him. Do you know where I wind up with that person? Eviction court. Inevitably, we're at eviction court. Your standards are your standards for a reason. Maintain them. I will end up in eviction court. I'm guessing a lot of you don't have rentals in Gary, but probably elsewhere in Lake County, so Judge Bazelski or Judge Pagano down in Crown Point, many of us have known that courtroom, probably. Right? Or if you have rented properties in Gary, Hammond, or East Chicago, go to the Gary City Court, at which point you don't even know the judge because they never show. It's just done with attorneys, basically. So, it's true. Every Wednesday morning, 10 a.m., go to the Gary Police Department. Watch the eviction court. It's the craziest thing. 90, you know, I would say the vast majority of tenants don't even bother to show, and they get a default judgment against them. And the ones that do just agree and sign the paper that they're gone in a week. It's the craziest thing. The court starts at 10 a.m., the judge probably, and when I say strut, I mean struts in his zoot suit. You know, you're talking like, you know, senior black guy wearing the Sunday best suit, you know, like the, you know, something out of Dumb and Dumber, the orange, the blue, with a nice hat that matches, right? And he struts, he's a super nice guy, so it's just, you know, he has a fashion style that's his own, right? And he walks in, and probably about 11:30. Court started at 10. They go through every single tenant one at a time to try to work a deal out with the attorneys, and if they want to talk to that judge, they gotta wait till he gets there. Of course, you do too, that's the crappy part about it, but, you know, you have an attorney so you can leave and they can call you and come back, right, if need be, right? And they're hoping in that time that they're making the tenant wait, they come to their senses and just agree. Because I have never seen him rule against the landlord, ever, in my decades there, right? I've never seen him rule against the landlord, ever. The tenants will sit there and say, well, they don't fix this, and, you know, he's mean, and, you know, the property's terrible. And they offered you a chance to go somewhere else? Yes? So you're fighting for a chance to stay in a crappy apartment with a horrible landlord? Yes! I deserve it! You're being evicted, how long do you need to move? Well, I probably, you know, until the end of next month, so 10 days? Good, sounds awesome, and that's usually what it is, right? The other thing is down here, stay ahead of the game. You're a large apartment complex, all right? You're gonna be the big boy on the block, but you need to start understanding what others are doing to compete against you, right? In some areas, the only competition you have might be subsidized housing. Really hard to kind of compete against that when you're market rate. Okay? But you have to constantly ask questions, network. Adrian talked about the networking, network with other property managers to figure it out. Here's a little tip, don't tell them you're the owner. Don't ever tell a tenant you're the owner, but don't tell enough property manager to work for someone else you're the owner. All right? Just let them think you're a property manager and then you're just having a networking powwow. You know, oh yeah, okay. You know, because we're just palling around the water cooler then, right? The minute they know you're the owner, all bets are off. All right? Why? I don't know. It just is. Okay? All right. I'm going to throw up a bunch of numbers here, and I'm going to have some slides to explain them. Analyzing a commercial property, which is any 5 units and above, is completely different than single-family homes. Right? Because, again, it's based on how much is made. Now, when you give an appraisal of an apartment building, there's going to be 3 different numbers that come back. Right? The standard comparable approach. You know, they're going to attempt to find something similar to your building. How many times do you see 2 apartment buildings almost identical within even 2-mile radius? It just doesn't happen, right? The other number is, if a bomb hit it or Hurricane Irma wiped out your entire apartment complex, how much would it cost to rebuild it? It's called replacement cost. And the last one, which is the one they always go with, is income approach. How much money does that property make? So here you just spent probably $2 to $3 grand on an appraisal. I know that seems a lot more than others, because it is. And they're going to walk through your property and take a bunch of photos, and in the end, they're going to just go off the numbers you gave them. That's not how much it made. Now, then there's something called the capitalization rate, and that is what kind of is up to the discretion of the appraiser as to what that rate is. They can look at other properties and see what the cap rate is, right? Does anybody know what the cap rate is? Does anybody not know what it is? Because I'm going to go into it in the next slide. All right, capitalization rate we're going to go into. But these are the 5 main things that you want to worry about. This one here is the big one that lenders are going to worry about, the debt service coverage ratio. Don't worry about the definition, I'm going to get into it in a second, okay? All right, so the capitalization rate, right? The cap rate is equal to the net operating income. That's the key, net. All right? All the rental income, all the extra income, minus all the regular expenses, except not including debt. So your mortgage, all right? Everything else is in there, all right? And then you divide it by the sales price or appraised price, and that gives the cap rate. So now, if you know the average cap rate and you know the net income, you can then work the formula around to get this, okay? So you can kind of figure that out. So if you bring this over here, then you divide this over here. So NOI divided by cap rate gives you the price. So if the cap rate is 10% in an area, based on what I see in other properties, then I know I'm going to divide my NOI divided by 0.1, right? So it moves that decimal the other way, okay? So, you know, if you're making $100,000 and it's a 10% cap rate, your property's worth $1 million. That would be the valuation because I just moved the decimal the other way. Does that make sense? All right. So an example here, a 17% NOI If I'm buying it for $230,000, that's a 7.4% cap rate. North side of Chicago, that'd be an awesome deal. Northwest Indiana, not so much. Okay, not so much. All right. I just had an 85-unit complex probably about 11 months ago, and they appraised it at 8.5% cap rate, which I really was awesome because I wanted 12. I was happy to get 12%. When I'm buying it, I want a bigger cap rate. When I'm refinancing or selling it, I want the smaller cap rate because of the way it works, right? Because if you think about, what that number is, if it's $100,000 divided by 0.05, now my property is worth $2 million, sorry. 2 million, not 1 million, right? So I want it the other way, right? I want a 5% cap rate when I'm selling or appraising. But I want it the other way when I'm buying. You guys follow me? Because of the inverse relationship. I don't want to lose anybody. If you have any questions, ask, okay? At all. I'm now saying it's already 8:37. Okay. What?
When you're analyzing the cap rate on a property, when I'm doing it for a single family home, I'm adding in potential future expenses and taking off a percentage for vacancy, capital expenses, maintenance. Is that also?
That's all part in your NOI. That's all part of your NOI, and I've got a whole bunch of spreadsheets on that.
Because on a
Screen
apartment,
capture.
there's going to be more of an actual history of.
Theoretically, yes. Theoretically, yes. It depends on where you're buying the property from. Okay. For the most part, if you're buying from another seller or someone's had it for a while, yes, you have it. If you're buying because the mom and pop people passed away and the kids don't want it, they may not have it. If they went to their neighborhood friend who is the banker and they got a loan, so they didn't really require all the documentation. I bought one out of bankruptcy and they didn't really provide anything. They had a woman who was acting as a property manager and was being paid by the court-appointed receiver. It turned out she wasn't even licensed to be it, and she had forged leases. Like, literally forged it. You can see the same signature handwriting on some, and then the spelling of the name and the signature was different than the actual tenant's name. Right? Stephanie Mickey was not Taffany Muggy. But the lease was to Taffany Muggy, but it was signed Stephanie Mickey. So I mean, it's like these are pointless. Just throw them away and start over again. And I had to just go with that. And on that particular case, I went by a per door kind of cost expenditure. So I had no way to value what it was. I knew what it was to be. I had a pro forma. All pro forma is what I think it will go to, not what it is. All right, that's an ARV basically. Okay, so that's what it is. So cash return on investment, right? This is usually compared. Where does it make sense to put my money? Should I put it into a flip? How much am I going to get back? All right, or should I put it into single family rentals? How much am I going to get back? So simply, remaining cash after debt service. What is debt service? Your loan. Your loan, your principal and your interest, not anything else. Principal and interest, your loan payment. Minus how much I put in. So if I have $5,000 net cash flow in a given year on a single family home or even like a 4-unit, and I put 40 grand in, I made 12.5% return on my investment. I'm not doing that. Is anybody else doing that? If you are excited about this return, please come see me. I'd love to use your money. All right. If you want more than that, then just keep listening. Okay. Total return on investment, obviously I know what ROI is, the remaining cash of debt service, plus any loan pay down you're doing. If you did any more loan pay down, minus your cash investment. So, if I had loan costs or anything like that, like if you had points and I have a pay down, I did a balloon or anything like that, that goes in there. So in this particular one, if I did $40,000 and pay down, because I had $2,000 principal, so I have $5,000 net cash flow plus $2,000 principal, my actual return is 18%. Banks look at this. Banks and lenders look at this in the commercial thing, so you kind of have to have an idea of what it is because you want to be able to talk their language a little bit, but don't get too far into it. Your job isn't to be here. Your job is to be dealing with the property, okay, and getting all that going, right? But you have to understand what this is because in the end you need that lender. So you have to be able to talk their language a little bit. It's like when you go to Mexico, you have to know how to say, ¿Dónde está el baño?, right? Or, quiero una cerveza, por favor. Right? I need a beer, or where's the bathroom? Right? That's it. Don't ever say, soy embarazada. Right? That means I'm pregnant. Not, I'm embarrassed, by the way. All right? What? Okay.
Congratulations.
Yeah. It's funny, I got 2 kids at home, and then I got, this woman that I, bought me a nice cell phone case that's, I was pregnant with one. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, how you doing? I was having fun with you now. Okay. Debt service coverage ratio. This is the big one. for banks. But nobody is, you know, every now and then they might refer to debt service, but everybody refers it to as DSCR. Okay, DSCR. All right. DSCR is your NOI. Again, all of your income minus all of your expenses, management fees, insurance, taxes, water bills, utility bills, everything. Maintenance, vacancy rate, everything's taken out of there, right? And then divided by what would be your loan payment. Right? And it's on an annual basis, not monthly, annual, okay? So if I make $17,000 of NOI, but I have a $1,000 monthly payment, right, it's 12%, I am a 1.42 coverage ratio. Right? Because 1.42 times my mortgage payment is what my income is. That's a good thing. The closer that is to 1 or under 1, you will not get a loan. It needs to be up over 1.25 for an apartment building. All right? They will not give it to you. Now, some more aggressive lenders will, but your rates will go up. All right? And at that point, you're talking around 9-10%. Aaron?
So when you're talking about this number, say you're buying a property that's half vacant, are they talking about now or are they talking about when it's full?
Right now.
So when you're
If you're getting a loan on a property, they want to see the instant snapshot of what's going on. So what is your net operating income year to date versus what your, the last 12 months of, 12 months, what would be 12 months of payment? That's where they're going to calculate out. And they're going to take, if you're making a net operating income in a given month of $2,000, they're going to say it's $24,000. Even though maybe next month it's going to be $5,000. So usually in apartment complexes, we talk about a 12-month trailing financials. We're going to show them the last 12 months. It's not 2017 financials. They want to see the last 12 months. So there's always something called a trailing 12. All right. If someone's attempting to sell you an apartment building and they don't know what a trailing 12 is, be cautious about moving forward and trusting their numbers. All it is they want the last year, last 12 months snapshot. That's all it is. It's not difficult because that is what will derive this number. And it is that number that gives you the value of the building, tells you whether or not you can get financed. It's huge. It's huge. See, all this doesn't apply to single families, does it? Does it appraise? Boom, done. They don't really care if it's rented. They just want to know, does it appraise and do you have the income to cover? What's your DTI, debt to income, right? Is there any lenders in the room? Anybody mortgage brokers? We don't have a single mortgage broker in here? Adrian, you got to market better. No mortgage brokers at all. Like, how do you guys have any mortgage brokers who do like rehab loans or anything like that, or can work with to finance your buyers?
you come to me and pay 40%.
I guess. Jeez. And then there's something that is mainly used. The GRM is mainly used by brokers, realtors, when they list it. Which one is mainly used by? And every now and then you get a lender talking about what GRM is, right? A gross rent multiplier is simply the price of the property divided by gross rents. Now notice I didn't say any other sort of income. Not laundry income, not parking income, not late fee income, just rental income. All right. All that's in there, just annual rents. Okay. The lower the better. Under 5 is good. It's a lot more difficult than you think. It's like, oh, it sounds sexy. It is a lot of upfront work. When I get under contract on an apartment complex, I give at least 30 days for financial review before we get into anything else. On a single family home, I'm closing within like 48 hours usually, all right? But I want 30 days just to review their financials written in so I can step out of a contract on an apartment complex, okay? Because there is a lot. Now, analysis of the deal, and I talked about this a little earlier when I bought that 85 unit. I did it based on a per unit cost, per door, whatever, right? Simply take how much do they want, divided by how many units, boom, right? Now, you have to kind of then wiggle it because not all units are the same. 85 units, let's see if I can do this. You got 1 studio, 14 1-bedrooms. The rest are 2 bedrooms, but 8 of them are 2-bedroom, 1.5 baths. As opposed to 2-bedroom, 1 bath. So can I really say that $8,000 for a 1-bedroom is the same as $12,000 for a 2-bedroom? So use that number with a little give and take on there, right? Because depending on the unit mix, you have to understand what that is. You can't just do the division, right? So then you can get into, okay, well, let me divide it by how many bedrooms there are. What's my cost per bedroom? Some people do that. Whatever works for you and you feel comfortable moving forward. Again, your risk tolerance is based on you. What I want to make on my return, the cash and cash return, that's something up to me. Right? If I feel comfortable making, I mean, we all know people that have money in a bank account and money market and they're happy. They're making 1.1% right now. Is anybody in this room happy with 1.1%? Good.
You don't look at all 80 units, right? Kind of go on faith a little bit.
You have to. You have to, because they're not gonna let you in all 80 units until like you start doing an inspection and stuff like that. And even then you don't get into them all. You do it as best you can. But you can kind of tell what the average is going to be, and especially when you get into the mechanical rooms, that's really where the pavement hits the road, right? Because that's where they get neglected most of all. And how they keep it, are they neat, are they tidy, is it updated, or is it just crap thrown in there? You know? There's always gonna be the, well, I'm looking for a tool. Everybody's got that, right? But do they have all of the filters set aside? Do they have extra toilets set aside? Do they have extra toilet seats in there? Right? That's the kind of property you want. Now you're talking Class A usually then, right? On the Class C or D, like if it's something in Gary, be happy if they have a toilet in the unit. Let alone a spare one set aside in case one cracks. And by I mean crack, I mean there was a fight over somebody didn't pay the drug dealer, so they threw something at it and it broke the toilet tank, okay? That's what I mean. Look, I did a ride along with Gary PD, right, one day, and all day long we had 6 domestic violence calls in one day. And the one we spent the most time is that we were doing the paperwork and we had to go arrest a guy who was a former track coach because 6 more kids had come forward that he had molested them. So that brought it to like 40 people, kids under the age of 10 he molested through the years. We had to arrest him. That was my time in Gary PD. No shootings, by the way. I didn't even see a gun. That was kind of sad. I was kind of hoping for some stuff, right? But anyway. Again, you talk about cap rate, ROI total, ROI cash, your debt service coverage, and then the loan value. All this has to go in when you're analyzing a deal. I'm blowing your mind. It's a lot to take in. But again, I'm attempting to squeeze it into an hour here, okay? So I used this once a few years ago in a presentation, and I really liked it. And so I know the year on it is old, but it's still perfectly relevant to today, okay? So you can see it's 20 years old, but it is still relevant today because you do want to do not just a 1-year pro forma. You're not going to flip the apartment complex, are you? No, because as we talked about, there's not a lot of apartment complex buyers out there that you can easily flip it to, right? So you talk about 5 years, you want to say, how am I going to return in 5 years? Right? That is the best pro forma you get out there. But now, again, you notice this kind of looks like your tax assessor's page, right? How much is the land worth? How much are the improvements on land? That's all the buildings, right? All that kind of stuff. All goes in here. Average rent per square foot. If you're not getting this from the company that's selling the property, you're going to have to create it, and then you're going to want to get a discount. Because they obviously didn't know what they were doing. Right? Because all this has to get go. And the thing is, if you have a system do it, this just is like a click, and you get this. Okay, you should have a report pre-done in any system you use. I use a system called Billium. Yardi is another normal one. YARDI is a normal one. Even if you're in single families, you're going to want to have some sort of management software. Because you're going to want to make that expansion, right? There are some that are free out there. The name is escaping me, and I had it memorized for tonight, and I forgot. It's a free one. It doesn't give you a bunch of tools. I think Billium's even free up to 20 units. Once you get over 20, they start paying. And then there's like seat licenses. Over 200 units, you have more and more. It's a great tool. You can pay online. You can text message through the website. You go in, so they get like a text message from an area code 231 number or something. And you don't give away your own stuff, right? But you'd be amazed how quickly they respond to that. Okay? You can send mass emails through it. You can track your lease ledgers, all your reporting, all your financials, do your work orders, assign tasks, all your things, and it's all like web-based app. Yardi has the same thing, again, systemized. But you can get this, okay? So again, now you come in at NOI. All this does not normally apply to a single-family home, and I'm trying to make you guys nervous right now. I am trying to make you nervous, all right? Why? I don't want you jumping in and taking your driver's ed test in a school bus. The number of times, and I know there's one person in this room that attempted to do it, like wanted to start investing career in multifamilies. You don't do that. When you did your driver's ed test, did you go on even the minibus, or did you go in the smallest car your parents had? Because you could park it, right? You can do the parallel, I don't know if where you guys grew up, but we had a parallel parking meter test, and I don't know if they have it out here in the Hickville, Indiana. Just kidding.
No soda tax.
I don't live in Cook County. I live in Illinois, but not Cook County. She lives in Cook County. She's the, and she lives in Cook County. Are you a Cook County guy too?
No, DuPage.
Oh yeah, see, DuPage, we're smarter. I am literally a half a mile outside of Cook County for a reason. Okay? You didn't make it far enough west.
Yeah,
Just
I'm
a
not
s-
here now.
Yeah, it was like just smidge a little far west. But yeah, I bet you come shopping where I am because the sales tax is less. It's a 3% savings in sales tax if you drive 1 mile, like out of Cook County. Because Cook County sales tax is 10.25%. It's 7% in DuPage. I know it's less than that out here, but that difference between DuPage and here is not worth the drive. Okay. All right. Right, but you can see all the differences that you want to put in here. Calculate 10% vacancy rate, the actual monthly per the year 2, year 3, and you can see all the growth rate. Because why does your vacancy cost go up? Anybody? Because your rents are going up. Right? If you raise your rent from 600 to 700, right there you got $100 more in vacancy per each unit. Right? Because you have to apply what you would have gotten if it's full. Right? And you always want to, when they're looking at lending, they're going to add 5 to 10% vacancy rate. Even though you might be 100% occupied, they're still going to hit you with that. Because it will go vacant. There's going to be times you have to do evictions. And the worst part about it, in an apartment complex, it's a round of evictions. It's not just one. Because everybody kind of it's like weird, they talk or something. It's like something in the water that you go for like a year and a half and nothing, all of a sudden, boom, 6 people are late and they're all like, oh yeah, I'll get it. Oh, my dog ate the rent check. Something along those lines. My car broke down. I don't care. You getting your car fixed? Good. You putting a bed in there? Like, you're so mean and evil. I'm like, no, I'm empathetic and understanding to the people who work for me. And I'm going to make sure I pay their bill. And to my family, because I put food on my table. Let me ask you a question. Would you go to your work if they didn't pay you for a month? No, hell. I'm exactly. They still don't get it. I'm still the worst person. So, like in the eviction course, we saw the regular property managers and owners, and we're like, I got called the worst person in the world. And the other property manager was like, wow, thank God you took the title. I had it for a long time. And then we talked about, well, maybe we should have like a bottle of tequila at the entry to court, and everybody just take the buzz off by doing a shot before we go in. And then the attorneys, because there's only so many eviction attorneys, so let's just have them pay for a party bus after eviction court's over. We just go get some, we go to like La Coretta and just get a bunch of margaritas. The 64 ounces, you guys ever been to La Coretta? Has everybody not been to La Coretta? Well, I mean, it's a mini chain. I think there are like 3 or 4 locations. There's one in Maryville, there's one over here in Highland. I don't know where they are, but they have like 64-ounce margaritas. 64 ounces, it's crazy. They're strong. I mean, seriously, you need to bring a designated driver with you just to sniff it, right? It's crazy. But if you become friends with me on Facebook, whenever I buy or sell something, I always go have a margarita. So if you ever see me change my header photo, it's because I bought or sold something that day, because you'll see a picture of a margarita. By the way, be friends with me on Facebook. Thursday is going to be another one, okay? Thursday is another one. And I always put the check, title company check right up against the stem of the margarita glass. All right, so I will be at La Coretta on Thursday afternoon, right around lunchtime. The one in Maryville, where the Kmart used to be, and now it's at home. I talked about my wife being an attorney. She is general counsel for Sears Holdings, which owns Kmart, so I knew all that closing was going on. Although she's quitting because, well, Sears is dying. So anyway, so this is all it is. Now when it comes to financing, once you have all that, again, there are different types of loans. Right? Does anybody know the difference between recourse and non-recourse? Wow, this is good. Okay. Recourse and non-recourse means basically you don't own the property in your own name. Actually, you shouldn't ever own a property in your own name. If you do, we need to go see an attorney right away. Let's get that changed. At least get into a land trust, okay? But get it out of your name. All right. A couple years ago, I had this woman who was big on that wonderful website, BP.
Oh, Bigger Pocket? Great website.
They should be called mantiteo.com. Didn't he get catfished about dating a girl or something like that? You have no idea who's on there. You have no idea. Here I can give a presentation, and it's obvious I actually have some idea here. They can look something online, Google it, paste it, but you have no idea. There could be fake accounts left and right on there. You don't know. And you're taking advice on your financial future from that. Just saying, right? Well, there was a woman that came to one of my meetings, and now she's held out as an expert on there. And she argued with me that you should you should always own a property in your own name because you get a lower loan rate. And I said, great, for 8 properties, then what do you do? And then let me ask you this, one of your tenants has a party, someone has, maybe one too much drink and slips and falls down the stairs. Are they gonna sue their friend, the tenant? No, they're gonna sue the landlord. The lighting wasn't the exact wattage it should be, the handrail was 1/4 of an inch too high, the one step had too much of a rise and not enough run, and they're gonna sue you. And she said, well, that's what insurance policies are for. And I said, yes, because insurance companies are in the business of making payouts. Now, the insurance company is going to find where you screwed up on it, didn't live up to what you were supposed to do, and then stick you with it. So guess what? Now your personal home, your personal possessions, your kids' college funds are all gone. Right? So don't own anything in your personal name. That is my experience. I've been in lawsuits. Luckily, I'm married to an attorney. But she doesn't do that anymore. Now she's this cushy general counsel. She doesn't want to go to court. I actually have to pay people. Right? I'm one for the gentleman that, I can't even say, but he came to the meeting, there. Gary, came into the meeting, I pay him way too much money. Right?
So what kind of name do you put it under?
Depends on what you want to do with it. Again, I'm not an attorney, all right? And it depends on how many people are coming in, because a lot of times on apartment complexes, like, I don't own the whole thing myself. I own a lot of it. I'm probably a majority shareholder in everything I own, but I'm not the only one. Right? So now I have a structure of something in there. We have to have an operating agreement. Sometimes it makes sense to do a C Corp. Right? Right now in Illinois, we have something called a Series LLC, which you guys do not have in Indiana as of yet. Okay. We do now?
Sure.
Oh, excellent then. A Series LLC, we used to have a C Corp parent and then a bunch of LLCs underneath, right? And then there was an LLC that was named as a manager to the C Corp, and then I don't understand that crap. That's what I pay attorneys for, right? Just, if I get sued, make sure my stuff is safe, and I don't want to lose too much. If you have 50 single-family homes and you have the same entity owning all of them, they're all up to the same, under that, right? So you want to isolate that, so if someone does sue and you do lose, you don't lose 50 properties. You lose 3, right? Or you have liens against 3. Simple as that, right? And then you want to make sure your partnership agreements are structured so that way, if one partner gets in an issue, it doesn't come back on it. Like, what if one partner passes away or gets divorced? Now do I have to partner with the ex-wife? Or ex-husband, depending on who the partner is? I don't want to deal with that crap, right? So you got to make sure it's all structured. Don't own anything in your own name. If you're going to make this a business, make this a business. Do you really think Microsoft, it was called Bill Gates Software? No, it was Microsoft, right? It's not called Arthur Blank, it's called Home Depot, all right? You don't own it in your name. If anybody teaches you otherwise, they haven't been a landlord very long. All right? At some point, there's going to be an issue. There is. And after the fact is never the time to learn. All right? We all learn from mistakes, right? Learn from mine before you make it. I've probably lost more money than most of you might want to make, okay, in my years. I've lost a ton of money. Being a hard money lender, I was stupid. Like in Michigan, they have laws that if I don't get the wife to sign the loan, then they don't have to repay it. Just crazy. And I lost money. I mean, I used to do hard money loans where I would say, just send me the receipts of the stuff you bought, and I'll pay it out as a draw. And I was young and dumb, right? They sent me all these receipts. I was like, man, this house is looking good. And then all of a sudden they stopped paying. So I had someone go to the house. Nothing was in it. Their own personal house had all this really cool crap in it. Right? They did the demo and that was it. They had a great new tile and cabinets in the new house, right? No. So after that I learned I have to send an NWI certified appraiser in there to actually appraise it and do the draw inspection, right? I learned, right? Learn from my mistakes, okay? Recourse versus non-recourse. Recourse means they can come after you. You are personally guaranteeing the loan. If you don't make payments, it hits you personally. Non-recourse means it's to the entity. The entity doesn't make payments, the property is the only recourse they have. They can take that, okay? That also comes down to, a lot of times non-recourse is our assumption. You can assign a loan to somebody else. Someone can buy the company, boom, it's good.
So is it typical to get better rates on a recourse?
Well, yeah. Yeah. Especially when you're first starting out and you don't have that relationship or you don't have the experience, you're definitely going to have a recourse. They're going to want to personally guarantee you. Okay? I'm going to guess these guys are the 60 and have a personal guaranteed loan, probably with a local bank.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, we should be getting to a point even on that where we shouldn't, but we still do.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to see. Where are the 6 units? You have a bunch of 6s? Is that it?
Yeah. Highland,
Hammond,
Whiting,
Munster.
Centure for
Crown
some
Point.
No, we actually Illinois Bank.
Good for you guys.
Yeah.
Way to get across the
Small
state lines.
bank.
Small bank.
Yeah, that's usually the case, right? You're not going to Chase's or Bank of America. They don't want to play that game.
No.
Okay. And that's the thing. You have the commercial lending departments are completely different. Like some don't wanna play the loan below 5 million, it's not worth their time. Some specialize between $250,000 and 5 million, but they won't go over 5 million. Because they don't have the, wanna put all of their eggs in one basket kind of thing. So you really have to play that game. A 6 unit is perfect for a small community bank, right? Chase is just, that's a number, they don't give a crap, right? But that's why I was thinking like a regional bank like First Midwest or Sincere sometimes plays that game. Okay. Horizon would be another one.
Yeah, People's.
And First Savings Bank of Hagwich, People's, but their LTVs are usually a little bit lower.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. So, again, you can do all sorts of crazy things. When I just refinanced that 85 unit, it was, I argued with them. Normally you go get a loan from, on a single family home, they tell you what the rate is, you're like, okay. Right? We negotiated for like a month, back and forth. Everything from the term, how long it's gonna be how long until I have to pay it off, the amortization amount, like, it was amortized, I finally agreed on amortized over 25 years, with a 10-year term, and a 5-year prepayment, 54321. So if I paid it off in the first year, I'd owe 5% loan balance. In the second year, I owe 4%. Except for it's waived if I refinance with them. So if the rates skyrocketed and I went for more of a lock, and I refinanced with them and kept the paper in their house, there was no prepayment penalty. If I took it outside a house, they want their money. Right? And that's how they do it. So you can negotiate that. We went back and forth, pushing. I'm not doing that because they wanted a full 10-year prepayment, and including in my last year when I had to refinance it on the term, they wanted 1%. I'm like, I'm coming in with, and it's only 52% LTV I'm asking you for. I bought it for $600,000. It appraised at 3.3, and I was asking for a loan of 1.7. That was it. But so you can negotiate back and forth. Okay. Again, the assumption is somebody can take it over. And that's always critical if you plan on doing monopoly. I mean, monopoly, trade it, move up, trade it, move up, trade it, move up. 4 houses, 1 hotel. That's what we all want to do in life, right? Monopoly. It's easier to sell if someone you say, here's the financing, it's in place, just assume it. Much easier to sell that way. Like, amazingly easier to sell that way. Okay?
You have your loans have reserves built in, part of the payment?
Yeah. Many loans require that I maintain a reserve level account.
How much of that, how many of those loans, if they're assumed, actually transfers?
You bake that into the price point. The bank, if it's an assumption that reserve account needs to stay, because it's with the bank.
I was gonna say, some of them won't do it, so
Yeah.
your reserves could be gone if you assume it.
Well, yeah, but if the buyer doesn't want to negotiate that in, then you have to realize that. So if you have a $50,000 account that the bank requires you to maintain, it transfers with the property on the assumption loan.
What's that reserve account for?
Huh?
What is the reserve account for?
For if shit hits the fan on your property. They want to make sure that you have the ability to fix it so that the property doesn't lose its certificate of occupancy. Because one of the things that they'll get as a lender is something called assignment of rents. If you don't make the payment, they have the right to go in and make all the rents go to them. You don't get anything. They just turn it over while they file the foreclosure. It's an emergency motion that they can walk into the judge and that day have the judge sign off that a receiver is appointed and immediately take over rent payments. They have to give you very little notice that they're doing it. That doesn't, mail out something, but the day they go into court, they don't have to notice you up on the lawsuit. They can go in and appoint the receiver. Guess who eats the receiver fees, by the way? You do. What is a receiver? That's a property manager. Appointed by the bank and court. That's all it is. And they charge a management fee, and guess what? You eat that. So, they want to know if they had to take over, and if there's any damage, they could require you to use that money to fix the property. It's the same thing like if you got a single family home. They want to make sure you make enough to cover it. But the reserve account is to say, hey, if the roof blows off, and you have a $5,000 deductible on your insurance policy, do you have $5,000 to cover just the roof, let alone all the damage that, water damage that was caused? Right? I had a fire. My 28-unit building had a fire. Why? Tenant dropped a cigarette on his bed. And he had a nurse that was coming to check on him because he was injured, and he had the bandage. And she, in her infinite wisdom, decided, oh, we gotta get the smoke out, open all the doors. Anybody know anything about fire? They need oxygen to breathe. You open that up and it just lights up like a tinderbox. Keep the door closed to the room the fire is in. Don't open the windows, especially don't open the front door of the building and create a wind tunnel. All right? Don't do that. And it went up. And so, luckily the insurance covered it all, but I had to pay the deductible. Right? But it was far easier to pay the deductible. But that's things like that. That's why the bank wants you to have the money. You never know. You never know. And they want to protect their investment because their investment isn't you. Whereas in single-family homes, or, 4 units less, it is you. You're the reason they gave you a loan. Yeah, the property means something, but in the end, if you don't make money, it doesn't matter how much the property makes, right? They want to make, and so that's what it is. So then you can do some blending of options, equity financing, partnerships. Equity financing, insurance companies love doing that. Yeah, insurance companies. What do you think they do with all that premium money? Do you think it's there to pay out? No, they want to make money on it. You put a lump sum in every year, right? You pay in advance on a lump sum premium. They have all this money, businesses, all that kind of stuff. They invest it. Guess what retirement funds do? They invest it. One of their primary choices is commercial lending, because they know they can count on this % return. They can invest in the stock market. Can they guarantee this % return each year? No. So you can go to insurance companies and they'll lend. There are actually companies set up to lend the money from insurance companies out as a commercial loan. It doesn't have to be a bank. It doesn't have to be a bank. It doesn't have to be like, getting raped by Justin for 40%.
Hey, don't kill my lending.
I do 24, so.
Oh, IRA lending is great. If you've ever had a job or know anybody that's had a job and they had a 401k job and you left the job, you can roll that right over into a self-directed account. And you can do whatever you want with it except for going vertical, meaning you can't lend your parents or your kids. You can buy stocks, you can buy annuities, you can do anything, but you can't go up and down. That's my understanding of it. That's our topic at next month's meeting, by the way. Midland IRA is coming in. Midland IRA is coming in to talk about it. So I know you use Quest. I use Midland, whatever. I use Midland because they're both IRA and 1031 exchange. So topics for other days. All right. Or you can do a blending of all. It's so crazy that you can get creative, right? Having a grasp on all of that makes you a far more formidable force when you're making offers on properties, right? So here's some of the guidelines. If you're doing an office building, they want to see 1.35 in that DSCR. Now we talked about the debt service coverage ratio, but maximum is 75%. Now a lot of them are less. So, in office buildings, you're looking around 65% LTV is what the loan. Anybody not know what LTV is? I don't explain loan to value. Okay. All right. Ineligible property types. Bowling alleys are not eligible to be multifamily units. Don't live in a bowling alley, okay, kids? All right. I know, Adrian, you want to be in lane 12. I get it. I get it. No. Justin just laying in the gutter, so. But seriously, so I mean, just some examples. Some mobile home parks, they want to see they can get a lower DSCR. But these are the maximum I found out there. I don't really see, you can get bridge loans and mezzanine financing to cover it and get closer to 100%, right? But when you're going long-term traditional financing, which is really what you want to do once you get a multifamily, you want to lock that crap in, especially these days. Lock that in and get long-term, then, you want to go to that route. So for example, on a smaller loan, you'll get it at between 150 and 2.5 million, and you can see it's based on the T-bill. Their rates are based on T-bill or LIBOR. Just look that up. No point me explaining it tonight. Okay. It's not based on the overnight swap rates, which is what single-family homes are. Okay. And you see all this down here. They want to see all this. And non-recourse, these are all the things that you could have with it. You want to keep your fees low because they can charge fees like nobody's business. There's no truth in lending agreements here. There's not, government protection. It's the wild, wild west in commercial. And then you get over that 5-unit, all those government regulations, Dodd-Frank, all that kind of stuff just doesn't apply, in my experience. All right. You got it? Because I'm about to change it. All right. Property management. I'm going to go quickly. I noticed it's 8 o'clock. I got kind of sidetracked. Hire a manager or do it yourself. That is going to be one of the age-old questions. Just like the age-old question is, what's better, single-family or multifamily? And I will tell you I do both. The reason is it takes me forever to find a multifamily. What do I do in the meantime? Eat bonbons and get my hair blown out? I use it on the phone with you today, okay? No, I'm going to take the other money I have sitting around and I put it to use on single families. I'll do flips and single family renters all day long until I can find another multi-unit. All right? But then once I find a multi-unit, I'm like, I dig in, and it takes a while. It's like repositioning a single family house is like a jet ski. I can turn it on a dime. I'm talking more of a cruise ship here. Kind of hard to turn, right? So that's what it is. So you always expect the unexpected. You're always going to find something unexpected. You take over a new property, you may actually start making tenants pay rent, you walk out to your car and there's rebar jammed through your hood and into your engine block. Okay? Expect the unexpected, so you now have an expense of a new vehicle, and you have to get home, alright? And you have to tow that car away. Don't drive to the, just little tips and tips here, don't drive to the property that is, Class C, and you're gonna throw out all the Class Cs to turn into Class B, because, they're Class C for a reason. I mean, you don't understand what I'm talking about. Class A is really good looking property, great tenants, and then it just goes down the scale, right? Northwest Indiana is very hard to find a Class A right now. Okay, everything's Class B or C, and sometimes in Gary you get a D or maybe even a Z. All right. So you have to put that. Did you ever see the movie Roadhouse? Patrick Swayze, when he was the bar, enforcer. He went and got a crappy car because he knew he was getting beaten in every night. Hey, there's an idea, right? Add that into your expenses. Because whomever's going to be that hard person, because I heard Adrian on the phone before the meeting started, good cop, bad cop, and you're always a good cop.
Yeah.
Who's the bad cop? I always play bad cop. I hate doing it, but I'm very, very good at it. Inevitably, however, I get rebar through my car. Alright? So I have to be the one who goes to get the other car. It's like, or, the apartment complexes, all my staff say, how come you get the reserved parking space? I'm like, yes, until you play the bad cop and your car gets up with, all the security cameras are on my car. Okay? Alright. Even if you hire a property manager, you have to manage the manager. The worst thing I could ever think of is like, you ever go into like a McDonald's or a fast food restaurant and the manager's sitting there and there's nobody to take your order and you're just waiting? The manager doesn't know how to use a register. Or they don't want to. Roll up your sleeves and get in and do it. Because until you have that order taken, you can leave. Once you have the order taken, you're kind of stuck. They're going to make some money off you, right? You're not going to leave after you pay them, right? It's always interesting. Fast food is where you pay before you get the food. Fine dining is where you pay after you get the food. You ever think about that? I just thought of that myself. Crap food we got to pay for beforehand. Really good stuff we pay for after. Go figure. All right. Some little tidbits here, tips and tricks. Fix the property. Fix it. All right? Because inevitably it's like a snowball rolling. It's going to gain speed, and it's even worse on a multifamily. You don't fix the leaky toilet in one unit, it's going to drip into another unit. Now you got to pay the damages for two, and you have the two tenants teaming up on you, and then they incite violence with other people. Next thing you know, you got Antifa violence. All right, look, some of the things you got to think about is insulation in single-family homes too. All right, most people don't even think about it. If you're going to hold this property, tenants don't, care what the rent is. They care about all their bills. And if you have crap windows and no insulation, their utilities are through the roof, and they feel like cold in the winter, and they're going to move out, right? Couple bucks here is a lot less than a vacancy. If your rents are $1,200 a month and it's going to cost you $600 to put in new windows so a tenant doesn't move out, who's the fool? If you replace a couple of windows, right? Who's the fool? 1 month of vacancy, you want $1,200. But it's actually more than that because now the utilities are in your name and you have to spend time to pay a property manager to go rent the thing again. All right? Let alone any repairs, because there's always repairs when a tenant moves out. Right? Because you can't charge a tenant out of the security deposit for normal wear and tear. Now that fine line is, what is normal wear and tear? Well, that's for a judge to decide if they challenge you, right? But you are required by law to send them a letter in writing saying, here's where your security deposit went, and you have 45 days to do that. And the day they vacate, you have 45 days. Even if they're evicted, you still got to do that. Hey, your security deposit went to back to rent. Done. Lawyers, attorney's fees, court costs, it's all done. Let alone any repairs, rekey fee, all that kind of stuff. But always do it. So a single page leaky furnace and boiler, is it outdated? Again, you want to make sure you don't have that vacancy because one begets another. And a lot of times in multifamily, so what you'll find is you get families. You get families. Families and friends, which are basically the same thing as family. They refer and they want to live together, and next thing you know, you got a bunch. One moves out, guess what? 5 move out. That's how it works. Okay? Alright, same thing. Remove all galvanized plumbing if you get a chance. If you're getting in there and you're buying it low and you're going to do a value add, kind of like a rehab, if there's galvanized plumbing, get rid of it. Get rid of it. Alright, it's outdated. You don't want to have any dielectric union issues between copper and galvanized. Just get rid of it. Here in Indiana, just throw PEX in. Just throw PEX in. Everybody know what that is? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. In Chicago, everybody goes, huh? They're not allowed to use PEX in Chicago. It has absolutely nothing to do with the quality of it. It has everything to do with union plumbers.
What is it?
PEX, it's a flexible material, polyethylene cross, PX. It is your plumbing. It comes in really cool colors, red and blue. One is for hot, one is for cold. So you don't just grab copper and go, oh, that's the hot one, right? The good thing about PEX is it'll expand to 3 times its size. So if you lose power and it freezes in the winter, it'll expand. It won't pop and break, which is funny why Chicago, you know, in the cold winters requires it, because where's the copper at? Usually near the electrical panel, or in the basement where all the electric and utilities are and everything like that, and it floods, and now you have a hot electric running through water. That's always smart, right? Yeah. So use PEX. Don't patch things, fix them. Don't patch it, fix it. It will eat up your costs, and that management expenses, again, the value of the building is based on how much it nets. Fix it. A pound of prevention, an ounce of prevention is a pound of cure. It actually happens here, right? If your wall's a little off in one place, it's way off as you go down the line, right? Well, you have a bunch of units now, it's a little off, right? And it goes down the line. Go in there and fix it. And then here's the big question, and I do this for single-family homes. Take the location away. If I picked up this house and moved it in a location that I liked, would I live in the physical structure? Would I live there? If your answer is no, you can't ask anybody else to live there. If you're like, oh yeah, I'll just open the stove and get some heat. Because we've all seen that. We got on the units where they got the stove open because the heat's out, right? Because they got a slumber. No, you wouldn't live in that, would you? It's dangerous. Why are you asking, more importantly, charging somebody else for the right to live there? Right? If you won't live in there, don't do it. Fix it to the place that you would live in it. And I'm not talking about when you were single in college and ate ramens. I'm talking about now, okay? Would you live in there? Again, location aside. If I blindfolded you and just walked you into a unit when I say, would you live in it? And he's, yeah. I'm like, oh, hey, look, it's in the lead-based area in East Chicago, West Calumet Apartment Complex. Enjoy. No, I'm kidding. You guys know about that, right? West Chicago. Huh? Awesome. The whole lead in the ground in East Chicago, where they have to pay 1,000 government subsidized tenants to move somewhere else. West Calumet, look it up. All right. And finally, I am a hater of vanilla box. White walls, white this, You should standardize your colors. Every unit should be the same. And hopefully I can talk about that in a minute, right? I don't know if I even talk, systemize and standardize. Everything should be the same, right? Because they're going to discontinue the paint color unless you buy a shitload of it. All right? So if every single unit you have has the same exact paint color, at least you know you got a supply. Right? If you do it the same and you show a 10 and 1, and then you're like, oh, this is the model unit. Okay, well, you'll rent 102, and then you get to 102. This doesn't look anything like the model. Well, it should, right? It should. Standardize it. We talked about, I think you talked about Dave Overman was here a couple months ago, and I have these 3 different styles, and you can have access to the codes and everything at Home Depot, I think is what it was, right? Yeah. Same thing. You should have this. And then your contractors and your maintenance staff and all that know, going in, this is what I have. Right? Same carpet, same tile, same paint color, same furnace, you see? It keeps your costs down. Remember I talked about earlier the value of the building, is that, and then I want to lower cost. I can increase the value of the building by lowering cost. Again, based on cap rate in the area, it can really make a huge difference. Right? It can make it, if the cap rate's 5, I've doubled it. Based on that savings. Whatever the savings is, I've increased the value by twice that. It's a 5 cap rate. Right? Gurus. I always throw the one in there. Anybody who does a late night infomercial, don't believe anything they say. All right? The real world speaks different. You ever notice that their commercials never change? They show the same people doing the same one-off deal that got them 40 grand or whatever it was, because that's the only success they have that size they have. They might have singles, but never home runs, right? And the reason that they're doing infomercials is because they sell stuff. They don't invest. So don't believe the hype, right? Can you do a la carte landlording and pick and choose? No. You can't. Right? You're either all in or you're not. And if you're not all in, you're like the person who watches stocks every now and then. Oh yeah, Enron sounds good, let me buy it. If you're not watching every day and understanding what's going on, you're going to get burned, right? And you don't have to research everything and understand why, but keep an eye on it, right? Keep an eye on it. Can't have it like do not leverage to zero cash flow. What does that mean? Pocket the money. Right? Pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. I just said that my apartment complex appraised for 3.3 and I only took 1.7. They were willing to give me more. Right? But if I take more, yes, I get more out, but my cash flow drops, so I have to play that number in between, because my mortgage payment goes up, right? I want to play that number, plus it makes me look better because I knew a larger one was coming, and I've got a larger equity position, and they like that, all right? So I took a little less so that when I go to the next one, which is the big money maker, right? I know 85 units seems like a lot, but it's small change in some of the area I'm at, okay? Right? And don't do this hands-off crap, all right? You ever hear about the turnkey people from out of state? Inevitably, they're always posting on all the websites going, oh crap, bad property managers, oh terrible. You always have to go check on it, right? So if you can, either make sure you work into your numbers that some of your expenses, your travel expenses to go visit the property, or if it's local, you can drive to it, right? But if you do buy out of state, make sure that you calculate in travel and expenses, including hotel stay while you're there. It's all right off. It should be paid for by the company, right, to go visit it. Okay. Always go do that. You always have to check on people. Anybody who manages anybody in any career out there knows you have to check on them. As much as you would love to say that they're self-motivated to go do the work, you still have to check on them. You know the work from home people? People who actually don't work at home? Is there anybody here that ever got a work from home day and actually did work? Like, all day? Like you're supposed to? You didn't like go get your hair done, your nails did, or anything? It took like a 2-hour lunch? You've never done that, okay? We all do that. We have to manage it, okay? So don't do that. Systemize. Here's some tips. I'm going to try to do this quick. Systemize. Everything should be the same. Systemize. Landlord locks are your friend. Landlord locks are your friend. What is a landlord lock? You just change the core. You don't change the knob. So every time you change the knob out, you have to swap locks, right? You have to go back, get a whole new lock assembly. No. I put in a control key, turn it, pull out the core. Put the new core in, turn it, boom. My master key still works. I don't have to give it to anybody else. I have 28 unit building. I probably have 34 cores. And I can rotate them around and keep track of whatever doors are on, because I can't put it back on the same door after an eviction for 5 years. Because if I don't get the key back, it's 5 years. Otherwise, I'm liable for any break-in that might happen. That doesn't show, like they have any stolen. They can say, well, the former tenant came in. It's the other reason I have security cameras, by the way. Right? That record, not just the fake ones, okay? Not just the fake ones, all right? Those sort of things, standardize everything. Okay. Then you look for other ways to get income coming in. Right? Because again, how much your property makes is what it's valued at. Right? Laundry income. Everybody gets excited about laundry income, but you have to weigh out the pros and cons. One, the machines are far more expensive and they break down a little bit more. Because nobody cares, it's not theirs, it's like a rental car. You drive a rental car and you beat it into the ground. The other thing is, you increase your water and utility expense. Water and sewer is added up on a washing machine, right? So someone just runs a little bit and they set it to high, big water, big low, but you have to eat it. So you have to know that you're not getting $1.25 or $1.50 for washing. You're not getting a percentage of that. But a percentage over time will add up to where you increase the value of the building. If there's limited parking supply, right? If you saw those apartment complexes I showed a picture of, street parking, there's like 10 spaces for 52 units. So I can charge more. I can rent the parking spaces. That's more income, increases the value of the building. All right? Anything. If there's storage areas that you can rent for a few bucks a month. Again, whatever it costs to manage them, you have to take into consideration whether or not it's worth it, right? If it's just over break even, it's not just over break even, it's just over break even times cap rate, right? I lost you on that one. You were looking at me with a face like...
No, I understand what you're saying.
Okay. It's a 5% cap rate and I increase the cost of, by $1. I've actually increased the value by $2. I've doubled. All right? So it's really worth it for $2. I got a $1.04 check in my car from Indiana Water. Today's the 90th day. If I don't cash today, I don't get it.
There you go.
I was thinking maybe I can lend it out at 40%. What do you think, Justin? Systemize and standardize. Look, furnaces never go out in the middle of the day in the summer. They always go out in the middle of the night in the winter. There are just a couple of common things that go wrong. Either the igniter or the flame sensor. Flame sensors can be fixed with a thing of sandpaper or a wire brush. Right? But sometimes they just are past their point. If you have the same furnace throughout an entire building, you can keep a couple handy. You don't have to pay, ridiculous amounts to get the part on a rush. Keep a couple handy, you fix it. If you have 28 different furnaces in a 28-unit building, it's hard to keep a couple handy. So even if you have 2 types of furnaces in there, right? Because maybe one has to be bigger because the 2 bedrooms need a bigger unit than the 1 bedroom, right? The more BTUs, more power, right? Fine. Right. systemized and standardized. I can't tell you how much that'll save you. Finally, here, don't give out your home phone number, your personal information. Just don't do it. Don't do this, because your phone will never stop, and it's always the worst time. You're an investor. You're buying yourself that. Either have somebody else on an emergency call or let it go to voicemail and check it right after they call. Because their emergency isn't always an emergency. We all know that, right? There are some things that are honest to God emergencies, but for the most part, when they're calling you at 3 in the morning, they're just pissed off, or they're drunk, right? So let it go to voicemail and listen to it afterwards. If you're calling them, use an office line or have some sort of like voice over IP app that covers it, and they call that number back, not your personal cell number. Because then next thing you know, you can be texted nonstop, right? The texting thing through Billium is great because it just goes to the website. It doesn't actually hit my cell phone. It gives me a little alert that one's there, and I can go look if I need to. But again, do not feel beholden to your property. Yes, you need to keep an eye on it, but you don't have to drop everything, at every second. Okay? And not feel beholden. If you're a decent, good landlord, they're not going to move out. Right? They're not. If you're a dick, if your name's like a... No, I'm not going to say it.
Thank you.
What? What? Okay. I'm just going to leave these up here and talk, because these are a bunch of slides, but I think it's important you guys read this. When you're hiring a property manager, these are some of the things that you need to go through. All right? You can read them and look at them. All right? There's a whole nother slide yet. But since I'm already long on this presentation, I want to try to wrap up relatively quick. It's great you guys have a clock in the background that keeps me on schedule. So, taking pictures. Keep taking them. Look, I'm going to be around here for a little bit, after tonight, and obviously just friend me on Facebook or something like that. See, there's a whole nother one. If the manager doesn't understand this, don't hire them. If they can't tell you the name of the judge for eviction court, don't hire them. Don't hire them. Why? Yes, an attorney can handle your evictions, but at some point if the tenant pushes back, they're going to need to have someone that's representative of the property there. If a property manager has been experienced, they've been to court, they better know the name of the judge. If, it's not like judges change every day, okay? If they don't, they're not worth it, especially for a large apartment complex. Right? A couple single families are just beginner. When you're looking at like a 600 unit complex, which is what I'm investigating right now, purchasing, a property manager better know their stuff, all right? And I'm going to ask him. And I am not going to be in a hurry to own them, to hire them. There's one slide in here that says, don't be in a rush. Don't be in a rush to hire someone. A bad property manager, just like a bad tenant, is worse than no tenant. Right? So here's some things. Read A Guide to Property Management Essentials. It's an older book, but it's really good. It's not as old as this one in here that I saw, Justin. This one that you guys, what's that one in there? Real estate, what was that, from 1980?
Real estate Q&A from 1957.
Is that what it is? Yeah. Yeah. It's like too bad we don't have copies. I can give them out tonight. Yeah. But
It's $200 if you want to.
the second bullet point there is something that comes to my management strategy and my philosophy. There are simply 2 rules. That's it. If every tenant and every investor and every partner followed those 2 rules, life would be great. If my wife followed those 2 rules, life would be great. She just doesn't comprehend rule number 1. Rule number 1, it says right there, I'm right. Period. It's my property. Off. I don't like you, go away. I'll come up with an excuse. All right? You don't need that hassle. Don't be desperate to have a tenant in there, especially when you have that, it's contagious when you have multiple tenants. They have everybody to talk to under the same roof. It's crazy. Right? Rule number 2. If you think I'm wrong, please read rule number 1. Simple as that. Follow those 2 rules, your life is great. Right? And I say that all the time. The people who know me in this room realize that. How many years have I been saying that, Karen?
At least forever.
At least forever.
10, 12.
Kate, how long since you know me?
10 years.
10 years? Yeah, since you know me. So, 5 mistakes owners make. They don't have a plan going in. They just saw a great investment, thought they'd jump in. I'll give a quick story. I was in high school, Spanish class, went to Mexico on a class trip. We were in Uxmal, Providence, and we were walking around. There's a bunch of these cenotes. A cenote is a sunken body of water that's like really warm water. You jump, and like there's a bunch of them. There's people swimming in others. And there's one that nobody's swimming. I'm like, sweet, one of ourselves. Follow me, guys. And I jump in. It was about 10 feet down. It was awesome. It was like a diving board. Water was great. I encouraged everybody to come in. It's about 15, 20 of us. It was awesome. Then we got tired. We wanted to get out. It was 10 feet down. Rock wall. So I felt bad, and I had to sit there and help everybody. So I was exhausted going up and down. Before you jump in the pool, know where the exits are. You ever see the kid that goes up the diving board, jumps towards the ladder because they're scared, right? Same thing. You have to have a plan going in, okay? Have some standards. Don't just have low standards like, like I'm gonna make money on the south side of Chicago. It's gonna be awesome. I'm buying a property for cheap. It's gonna be awesome. Look at the numbers. Yeah, that's low standards. Low standards for tenants too. Set the bar high. I'm not saying all south side of Chicago is bad, but I'm using it as a stereotype, and you can yell at me later if you want, okay? Neglect or have a slow reaction time. If a tenant's unit is flooding or the toilet is leaking and you take 3 days to call them back, they're gonna be upset. You call them back that day or communicate with them via email, text message, or have your maintenance staff do it, even if it takes a while to order a part and you have a solution for them, they'll work with you. You ignore them, they get pissed off, right? Like if any time you lend out money and people weren't paying you and they ignore you, you get pissed off, right? Communication is the worst, Don't buy at retail. Always do value add. Never pay full retail. There's too many things out there you can get better, right? And the last thing is not enforcing the rules. Always enforce the rule. If rent's due on the first, it's due on the flipping first. Period. End of story. You charge a late fee? Charge a late fee. Don't let it slide. Charge late fee. Why? It can be interpreted that you are modifying the lease. And that you will let things go. Hold them accountable. They signed a lease. You didn't hold a gun to their head. They knew that the late fee was late fee. I don't care if, there's a screw up with the work check. What are you supposed to loan them the money temporarily until you get paid? Pay your staff? Pay your bills? No. Late fee. Period. Okay? Enforce the rules. And when you have outsourcing considerations, there's a bunch in there. I mean, when you're outsourcing management fees or anything along those lines, look at all these sort of things. Do they provide all these reports? Do they give you access to an online portal? I'm very hands-on. I'm at my properties several times a week. Watching. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you get it? Okay. Finally, when you're looking for a property manager, don't rush. Do not rush. I've said it before. I've even capitalized it. Find out what their strengths are. Not everybody's going to be a jack of all trades. Some are better at financing. Some are better at maintenance. Some have every contractor in the book that they can have their beck and call. Some don't, because they're better at getting leasing. So you have to figure out which one plays to your strengths. If you're really good and you have all the contractors, get someone who's better at leasing, right? Because you can always give them the list of contractors, right? And find your team before you buy the property if you can. Know who's on your team before going in. And don't build your team just because they're cool. Build your team based on the needs of the team, right? You don't have 2 heart surgeons going in when you have to do, facial reconstructive surgery, right? You need to have, although their surgeons are great, you want plastic surgeons to reconstruct your face properly. Otherwise, you might wind up looking like Adrian. Oh, he wasn't even here to hear that one. Oh, man. All right. And finally, do that. Again, Guru Tricks, any questions? I did those the last slides. Oh, you were there. If you have a heart surgeon do plastic reconstructive surgery, or facial reconstructive, they might look like Adrian.
That's true.
Yeah. So he's like an attorney. You don't want someone who does wills to do your eviction. You don't want someone who specializes in divorces to do your partnership agreement. Right? Although that's kind of a partnership, I guess. But you don't want someone who does intellectual property to do your eviction. They have a specialty for a reason. Okay. Any questions about it? Who's going to go come and invest with me? I got 600 units coming up. Throw me money. Well, in.
I got you.
You got me? 46%. Awesome.
We're talking 40%.
40%.
Let's have an auction, we'll just bid it down.
Bid it down. I'll get it down. I'll get it down. I mean, look. I had someone that worked. Is a partner of mine, and it's a minority partner on an 85 unit. Her net pay each month it fluctuates between $2,800 and $3,200, depending on how much comes in. Right, one of my expenses are. And I was trying to explain to her that this is, 8 times that size. So if she comes on board, she'll make 8 times $3,000 a month, plus the $3,000 a month she already makes. All right, so she'll make $27,000 a month. That's kind of a life-changing experience in one deal, and she doesn't really have to worry about impressing the banks or anything like that because she has me. The banks look for the experience before they lend, and I have it. I have all the resources, so she's just a minority partner, and like, yeah, she's along for the ride, but for a minority partner to make $24,000 on a property, that's pretty good, right? Even at 46%, right? And that's what I was trying to explain to her, and she's like, oh, maybe that, okay, maybe, okay. And she just kind of went quiet. Her husband, all 2 months, was like, yeah, you're doing it! Think of all the fantasy football I could play! That's basically what he said.
Let me ask you this, because you covered a lot tonight.
Oh, I know, and I try to pack it in, I apologize
I mean,
if I bored you.
this could be literally a week-long seminar, because each of those different subtopics you could spend hours on. For people that have no experience in multifamily, what are 1 or 2 tips that you would suggest for them to get started? Because they're not going to just jump into a 600 unit.
Why not? Look, I like what these guys are doing. They went from single families, like a coupe, 4-door sedan car. They're not necessarily in a minivan. They're more in like that extended, like suburban, with like the John and Kate plus 8 kids. That's kind of what they got, right? That's and then you get used to that, and then you go, because once it's like, I have 2 kids, and I'm just exhausted at times, right? And then I look at someone who's got 2 kids, and they got a third, like the mother's out to here, and I'm like, what are you doing? But when I talk to people like you're like, after the third, it's like, yeah, we got it down.
I never said that.
Okay. You're here, your wife's not. Right? You found a resource there. But, usually when you talk to people, I've got a guy that his mother was one of 9, he was one of 8, and he's got 5 kids himself. They're used to it. They've got it down, right? So start with that if you're going to start small. The other way to go into something is go into something middle size. And middle size is anything from 20 units to 100 units. But do it with partners. Find somebody that has the experience and share the deal. You can get greedy. Pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered, right? Get some and share. Share the deal, because I can do 3, 4 deals with the same person. Or they can hang on and try to do their own. But why not plug into somebody who's already been there and has all the resources and get some? And if it works, great, let's do it again. But why not leverage? I talked about earlier. We learn from mistakes. Learn from the mistakes I've already made or somebody else already made before you make them yourself. So that would be what I suggest, is find someone who's done it and see if there's any way that you can work with them. Now, don't get greedy, and don't get offended if they say no. I had a lot of no's. I got a lot of doors shut in my face when I started out, okay? And, just getting time to talk to someone and ask them questions. I was doing a lot of note buying and seller financing, and I wanted to meet with this guy named Eddie Speed out of Texas. And I begged and begged and begged, and finally I just showed up and said, come on, I know you like baseball, I'm taking you and your kids to the Texas Rangers game. And that finally did it. And I learned everything I needed to know about seller financing, structuring notes, mortgages, everything I could think of. And he's still big in the guru thing now of selling notes and note buying. He's still out there. Can't miss the name, Eddie Speed. I mean, come on. Yeah. Eddie Speed, actually. And one of these days I'll remember what the W was. But
When you first started buying to get up to your 20, 30 plus units, did you have a location parameter that you would only go so far, or was it just kind of whatever deals came your way?
it was kind of whatever deals came my way.
Yeah.
My first foray into something large. Well, let me talk. I never actually shared the story about the 19 unit. It was in Michigan City, by the way. I just sent letters. I researched pins, figured out what was available out there as far as multifamilies based on the zonings. And I sent a letter saying I'm interested in buying. And the other thing I did is I made sure there wasn't a mortgage recorded in like the last 10 years. There's some pay down, so there's some equity. So I knew that I could get some seller financing. This particular one had no mortgage. Dude was an old, crusty old COBOL programmer. Right? We're getting COBOL's a programming language that was used for mainframes. He was making nothing but bank in 1999 and 2000. Because of the Y2K conversions, because every date field was only 2 digits, and now they need to do math. And these COBOL programmers were in high demand because the young programmers weren't learning it. COBOL stands for Common Business Operating Language, right? I say it stands for crotchety old bastards outdated language, right? But, so he made bank. And so he just bought this building. He didn't know how to manage it, all right? And he was making some money, but it was driving him nuts. So he was making this bank, and he took all his money, he sold the property, and it's gone. Now he sold to me on primarily seller financing. Seller financing, right? I went in, I said, okay, I'll buy it seller financing. 6 months, I get all the rents, I don't have to make you a payment. Because there's so much deferred maintenance, and he knew it. He didn't care, right? I went in, fixed it all up, jacked the rents, and it was great. And then I turned around and sold it in 2 years. I got a 10-year loan from him on seller financing. I sold it on seller financing with a 5-year note with 2% higher interest rate than I was paying. So I was sandwiching it and making it money, all right? And it was great. But in hindsight, I was like, oh man, I wish I would have kept the 19-unit,
Yeah.
right? I wish I would have kept it because I'm sure it'd be worth a lot more now. But I thought at the time it was great. But I did leverage that money to get into other things. So that was that. So I'm sorry, what the question was, how did I bought one in Texas. For
Yeah,
Christ's
just,
sake.
how did you?
Now you're at the point where you.
Well, I was at that point, but
What,
I
or
think I
just
was
give us
in
a
the
brief
military.
summary of like what units you went from a 19 to what and what locations.
well, I had like 2 units, 3 units,
Sure.
and some 4 units. Those are all considered residential. The first one I bought was a 19, and I just sent a letter. And I said, I'm interested in buying your property. Here are 3 options that I can think that would be the value of it. And he wasn't the first person that came back. It was just an actual letter. It wasn't like a postcard mailer or anything like that. It was just a letter that was, I personally signed it and mailed it. It wasn't like an auto pen or anything like that. I sent it off and he contacted me back. It was
You
awesome.
sent the offer in the letter?
Basic contracts. It was more of a letter of intent. There's a letter with a letter of intent, right? If
Like
you
a
agree to
purchase
this.
price in it, or
Yeah.
not? Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was. I highlighted the seller financing, because I said in this year, you'll get this month pay. I didn't say the percent rate. It wound up being 2.75%, right? But I didn't tell them the percent. I said you'll get annual payments of this. So in 10 years, you'll actually make this on the building. And I made that a little larger in the font, bolded that number. That number enticed him, and he gave me the call, and that's the one he went with. I gave the traditional retail price, which is much lower. I gave the half and half price, and then which I had no idea how I was going to finance that shit, by the way, right? And then I gave the 100% financing. So I said, please don't choose option 2. Please don't choose option 2, right? But we wanted to, because I didn't have that much money to bring down, put it in. So, but he went with 100% seller financing. It was, the thing is that is a one-off situation. I can't say that's going to happen all the time, but that's all I did. And that was my first foray into apartments. And I learned a lesson, and like I said, nowadays I was happy, wish I would have kept it. But honestly, where I was at in managing properties, and where I was at, I was still outside of my realm, and it was good that I sold it. I was great for like a year, but then the ongoing maintenance, I was still in rehab mode. I'm good at rehab. Maintenance is a completely different field and skill set to know how long everything lasts. What is my reserve study? Okay, reserve study is, how long will this furnace last? I have to budget to replace it. How long will the roof last? I have to budget to replace it. How long before I have to tuck point or anything along those lines in a brick building? All those sort of things, even the laundry income. How long until the laundry machines go out? I have to budget to replace them. And the commercial laundry machine, even on the low end, like a brand new Maytag, will cost like $800 per. And you really don't want a Maytag, you want a speed queen. When you get in the coin operated, you want speed queens. Whirlpools, like they're gonna break down easier. You want the speed queen, and that's gonna be $1,400 per machine. And you have to recoup that cost a quarter at a time. Alright, so I should, but that's what I did. And then I started feeling, okay, I could get into this and really got it, and I focused on it. And again, they don't come available all the time. So you have to keep doing your single families just because you get bored, honestly. Some of you probably recognize my face from the Lake County auction that'll be there. I'm there. I wasn't there in April, but I bought a house. I'd send somebody else, but I'll be honest, I was sitting on my couch with a bag of frozen peas on my... Oh yeah, 2 kids was enough, sorry. If I had any more, I'm gonna come yell at Adrian. No. Any other questions? Did I answer that? And did I answer yours?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah.
Is it true you can depreciate like 70-80% year one?
Yes.
On an apartment building?
Yes. Why you do that is beyond me, because that screws you the rest of the time. Once you depreciate 70%, then you only have 30% left to depreciate. And normally in year 2, you're making more money than you were in year 1.
What if you flip it? Can you depreciate like 70% and then sell it year 2 or year 3?
Yeah, I guess you could. I don't flip in 1 year in apartment complexes. When I buy a large apartment complex, I'm not letting go. The cash flow, it's ridiculous. Isn't that the point? Doing flipping is a job. It's a job. I can't hand down flipping to my kids. I can't. But I can hand down the rental income to them. right? I can hand down the rental income, I can, make a couple $100,000 a month and there we go, in rental income. Isn't that what you want? And it's taxed less than in flip, by the way. The flip is taxed, like if you made $1 million a year in flipping, you're taxed at 41%.
At least.
Yeah, 41% national, federal. That doesn't include what state you're in, all right? Your state tax rate is completely different, right? So 50% of your money's gone. Passive income, rental income is taxed at 19% federal. That's a huge difference, huge. Think about the corporate tax rate, just the corporate tax rate for businesses in the United States is 35%. Ireland is 12. Why are companies not moving to Ireland is beyond me. $1 billion is saving of $230 million in 1 year just by moving their corporate headquarters to Ireland. You think we need tax cuts in this country?
No large companies pay that though.
Well, I get it,
Again, I mean,
but
that's
it's
why,
still more,
because
it's
those are
still
the
easy
only
to
ones
jump
who
it
do
over
that,
there.
yeah.
But, and if they're gonna do all those things, just get rid of it and
Get
right,
rid
make it easier.
Without a doubt.
Make it easier, and let's put some accountants out of business,
Yeah.
you know? I have no problem putting accountants out of business, they're boring to talk to. Have you ever had an accountant do a presentation here? Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them are just like something economics. Something DOO economics. Bueller. Voodoo economics.
So on a lot of websites for apartment investing, they talk about buying units at a certain cost per unit when they're evaluating the deal.
Mhm. That's part of it, I put it in there.
What, in this area, what would you say is a good target number? Obviously, there's.
When you say in this area, I mean, you're talking Cherville, you're talking Crown Point, you're talking Munster, you're talking,
It's called
even North Hammond to South Hammond is different.
B area.
Like, in Hammond, I'll pay, again, a value add, depending if it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, I could probably pay 30 to 35 a unit,
Okay.
right? It depends on where it's at. If I'm right on state line on North Hammond, like Kenwood, not so much, right? If I'm in the tree streets around 140th or down 159th, like in White Oak or Pine or anything, I don't want any of that. You guys can bid all you want on those, right? I don't want any of that area, right? You get me south into like Hessville and Hammond, I'll pay more, right? Especially the area right around Kennedy, right where Arkansas, Alabama, California, right in that area, I'll pay some hefty prices. The ARVs there are really skyrocketing. I was shocked at it. What was that one at the auction, that single family on, was that Olcott?
Olcott, yeah.
Oh my God.
106.
We all shut it down at like 45 or 50,000. I went for over $100,000 at the auction. Like, what are you thinking?
He just closed it out last month at 175.
I know, I couldn't believe it. The amount of appreciation. But yeah, in that area I'll pay more. You get into Gary, for a 2-bedroom, maybe $7,000 a unit. Depending on the area, Gary. Lakeshore June's, the 700 unit apartment complex just sold. They were originally asking $31,000 a unit. But it went for I think it went around for $19,000, which is shocking. Marquette Apartments is for sale in Gary. It's 160 units or so. It's mainly ones and studios. Yeah, you don't want any of that noise. I mean, whoever's living in a studio in Gary and you're banking on 80 of them, you don't want any of that noise.
Long-term tenants.
Not so much. Not so much. You don't want any of that noise, but they were asking like $19,000 a unit, $20,000 a unit. I'm like, for deferred maintenance aplenty and ones and studios, I get single-family homes all day long for $19,000 a carry. I'm not going to do that. So, it's really like Class B anywhere. It really varies, man. North side of Chicago, I'm happy if I get a 4% cap rate for Class C property. Down here, I'm not buying unless I get 10 to 12% cap rate. Again, cap rate the opposite way. Absolutely. Higher cap rate good for buy, lower cap rate great for sell or refinance. Yeah. Any other questions? I hope I didn't bore everybody. That was a lot of information.
Did you say there was a difference between 4 units and anything past 4 units?
5 units and more are considered commercial. I know I'm really going long here. 5 units and more are considered commercial. If you guys need to leave, go ahead, right? 5 units and more is considered commercial paper. And it's it won't be bought by Fannie or Freddie, right? That's how the mortgage rates are kind of steady across the board for single families and residential properties, is that they have the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac buying the loans, you know, because most banks don't portfolio it, right? And they sell it off paper. Well, Fannie and Freddie won't touch commercial paper. 5 units or more is commercial paper. So it's into a whole different world of financing. You have to, especially when you get to like the 5 to 20 units, the bigger banks won't touch that either, even on the commercial lenders, because they don't get the return on their investment. So you have to go to like a small community
Have
bank.
you used Fannie or Freddie for any of their programs for your larger buildings, like the 40-year fixed? I mean, they got some of those.
Yeah, and they actually, there's the apartment complex I'm interested in buying was a
Yeah.
Fannie Mae foreclosure.
Yeah, I
They
know
did
fully
that, the guy-
suitable, I know guys
They,
that trade
they,
those
re-
around.
they told the guy he had to keep a $500,000 in reserves and drain the account and move to Israel. So there's a warrant out for him, but he's in Israel. So they don't extradite, so he's in Israel,
That's one
and he took
plan.
$500,000.
Yeah, that's one way to go.
So, I mean, it is an exit strategy. At the time of his departure, the property was sitting at 42% occupancy, so you know, it was losing money, so.
That's a good rate.
Huh?
That's a good rate.
Yeah, so I'm done. If you have more questions, I'll stick around, but everybody's gotta go home.
How's our bedtimes here?
Oh, I know, Indiana Hoosiers.
We're crazy, we go to bed early. How'd the Bears do yesterday?
Tampa Bay did really good.
I know, I went against their defense in my fantasy team, it was
Even the
rough.
former Tampa Bay quarterback threw a lot of passes to Tampa Bay. Mike Clem.
All right, real quick, anybody have any deals that any wholesale deals they want to sell, any joint ventures, anyone looking for funding, have money to lend, anything? Aaron?
I have a friend who has a place in Griffith. He's looking to sell, and I have a sheet here if anyone's interested.
Okay. If anyone is looking for a giant portfolio of 50 single-family homes here in Northwest Indiana, I have a connection for that. Let's talk.
Oh, yeah.
Serious? That wasn't me joking, that's serious.
And I can get it at a 10 cap to you. And it has some.
Get it to me at a 12 cap and we'll, I'll even buy you dinner. With a reach around.
Keep in mind, the investor's selling it, but no, it's in good areas for the most part. So if you're interested in that, it's only like 7 million now, but I know I can get it a little bit less cheap.
Hold on, 7 million? Justin, got any lending for it?
It is an off-market deal too.
I'm just looking at buying a few houses, so if anyone's got any houses in Maryville, Highland, Griffith, Portage, Dyer, I'd be interested in that.
Let's talk after this is a
Turnkey
duplex.
rentals?
I'm sorry, single family, yeah, just
Oh,
single
oh
family.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah, fix and flip, so.
I just had 5 that you passed on. Stop taking
Wow.
vacations.
Okay, it was, needed to do some fishing, so.
There you go. It is good to take a break. Anything else?
I'm looking at purchasing a multi-unit, multi-family unit, but less than 5, so.
2 to 4?
in
Multifamily?
2, it will be my first one, so I'm trying smaller.
What areas?
Northwest Indiana, obviously, I'm not trying to start in Gary or East Chicago, but, these areas, Highland, Griffith, Portage, Chesterton, that sort of deal, so.
Cash or finance?
Finance.
You can buy a cash and refinance out. I know someone that's a hard money lender. Charges 40%.
I'm at 24.
Hey,
I'll come in
you know,
at
for
18.
just a month, it makes sense.
Well,
If
yeah,
you can get in
per month.
cash on the property, 24% for 1 month makes sense. It's only 12, only 2% a month.
You'd be surprised, I mean, everybody
Yeah,
laughs,
something.
but if you don't have money to do deals, I mean, these are coming from rehabbers that make, anywhere up to $1 million a year. So, I mean, it's not just like new guys, these are guys that are just at the point where they have to pay what they have to pay. I'm not saying it's smart, but if you gotta pay it, at least you get a deal. 60% of something is better than 100% of nothing. And I take riskier loans, so.
If
Oh, yes.
I'm brand new, the shine still isn't off me. Anyone willing to mentor, or teach me some of this besides the monthly meetings? Are there people that kind of work on the side with other people who are brand spanking new?
give us a call. We do some mentoring. Ryan does mentoring.
Yeah, but I charge.
It's not that much.
What do you charge? I'm gonna charge like $5. So
I charge
for,
$5 introduction
tonight,
fee, you know.
so I was
and
at,
then, and I teach how to do a deal you make 50 grand on, it's 10%, 40%, okay?
I was at a meeting once, and they're like, I normally charge $19.95, but if you sign up tonight, it's only $9.97.
It always ends in 7, did you ever notice that?
There's gotta be some psychology behind that. So, I'm gonna change the annual membership, instead of being 90, it's like 87 or 97.
Mine's
yes.
127.
There you go. But you're in Illinois, so you gotta,
I have to pay the taxes.
yeah. If you are looking for off-market properties, we always post them on our website, investnwi.com. I just emailed out 4 on Friday, and they're all pretty much sold today, so they do fly off the market. I'm gonna send one out tomorrow. It's another 3-bed, 1-bath house here in Highland. Has half an acre. Outside's been taken care of for the most part, roof, siding. I'm gonna put out 70, and it will probably be gone within a day or 2. So if you're looking for another rental, another flip, and you wanna see that one, let me know. I can show that to you sometime tomorrow. Or you can go, if you've worked with me in the past, it has my Tom Brady lockbox on it. So,
Just gave it away.
Yeah, you guess that.
well, he has 2 numbers, and there are 4 numbers on the lockbox, so.
Just saying.
It's GOAT.
I'm sorry, I thought it was DFLATE.
That too. All right, next month, October 16th, 6:30 to 8:30ish, and our topic is going to be money, 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 how to fund your deals. There's probably 3 primary ways that you can fund your deals outside of standard cash. So we're going to talk about that: hard money, private money, and then traditional financing. So we're going to have 3 speakers. So if you want to use not your own money, this would be a really good meeting to come to. So that is October 16th. November, we are doing, that's the wholesaling month. If you want to learn how to find off-market deals and get them at crazy, crazy good prices, we're going to talk about that. All the things that the gurus teach you for wholesaling, we'll teach you all that. December, we're going to have someone that's supposed to be talking about notes, investing in mortgages, first position, second position. January, we have a mobile home park investor who's going to talk about investing in mobile home parks. Then we don't have anything after that, so then we're just going to retire. But that's next month. Again, membership, you can do that. If you do become a member, the biggest benefit is just the access to the videos. So if you want some of the videos from meetings that you weren't here for, get a hold of us, we'll connect you on how to get that. So feel free to stay as long as you want, finish up the food that's back there, network, pass out cards, grab cards, and we'll kick you out about 11:30.
Wow.